everybody. I'm going to go step outside. I actually can't see what we're seeing right now. Here we go. I hope everyone is doing well. Curtis, are you there?
Yes, I am. I am on the porch next door.
Excellent, because we are socially distancing.
Yep, we are being socially distant as we should. And I am at the Stevenson house. Did you know that our houses have names? The green one is called the Stevenson house because long ago someone named Stevenson either bought it or lived here or died here. Haley can speak to that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They actually, I'm getting two audios. Hold on.
Well, mute your computer. Yeah. So I'm on the porch here, and Haley is in the brick house next door, which is called the Judge Stone house because a guy named Judge Stone built the house in the year 1848, which makes it the oldest house in Noblesville that is still standing, as far as I know. Is that right, Haley?
Yeah, it definitely is.
So while Haley figures out her camera situation, I'm going to welcome everybody to our first ever virtual First Friday at Nickel Plate Arts. Believe it or not, we have had 90 First Fridays in a row, dating back to 2012. And this was going to be our first one that we couldn't have at all. But we said, you know what? We're not going to break our streak now. So we're having a virtual First Friday. So hopefully all of you watching on Facebook Live can see us and hear us. And over the next couple hours, we're going to be sharing our virtual exhibit for the month of April, as well as have some great music from a local artist and get some updates along the way. So I can show you guys what's going on here. It's funny, in the last 2 weeks since we've been home in various forms, got some construction going on across the street, making lots of progress. There's our beautiful historic courthouse. And it is actually, ironically, wonderful First Friday weather. So if everyone were here right now, we would have the band out on the patio, maybe some chairs out here, maybe some beers right here. But instead, you're on your couch and hopefully you've got a drink of your own choice and you're enjoying your own setup at home. Maybe you're on your porch. It's really nice right now.
It really is.
Check on Haley. There you are.
Yeah, I've come back. We should mention, I think, that this is all an experiment, right? We're all learning things. And we are trying different techniques this evening because we don't really know how long this situation is going to last, and that's okay, because we have so many things that we can do. So there are going to be some hiccups, there are going to be some bumps tonight. So hang in there with us, laugh along with us as we figure these things out. And we're going to try to bring you as much art and connection as we can this evening. We should mention too that the staff at Nickel Plate Arts, while we have been socially distancing, I mean, Curtis and I are two complete buildings apart from one another. We are still working really, really hard. So hopefully if you're an artist in our network, you have been hearing, you've been getting stuff from CODA about the resources that are available for artists, events that are still going on, events that have been delayed. If you have not been getting those things, first of all, please reach out to us and we'll make sure that the newsletter, that you're on the newsletter list. You also should check and make sure that we're on your safe sender list so that you are getting the latest newsletters and things, and that they're not getting stuck in your spam filter, because every now and then that happens to us. And you can also check out our website. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly and show you, if I can figure out which one I'm supposed to share, that we have set up some really amazing things on our website. there are virtual exhibits there, and there is a whole page called The Art Goes On. This is where I want to go, and that's why. Where we're posting all the latest information. So here it is, The Art Goes On. Curtis, can you see that right now?
And yeah.
Excellent. So you can see as we learn new things, we are posting them here. So there's stuff for families. For example, last week we sent out these great greeting cards to all of our paid members, just as a sort of, hey, we're thinking of you, so that the members could forward them to their families or loved ones who are across the country. And as you can see, Chris Dodaro took that to heart right away and started sharing them, which is really, really cool. And then down below, there are resources for artists. So this is all the latest newsletters and call outs and things. Coda's keeping that really up to date. And then there's the link to our virtual exhibits, which we will dive into in a minute. So meanwhile, Curtis, I think we're all settled in here right now, right?
Yep.
We want to make sure that everybody knows too that that we are putting content online daily. Curtis has been in charge of managing a really cool online schedule that has, we've been reaching out to our artist network. So we have live music a couple of days a week. We've had some acting lessons from our dear friend, Brian Shelton. We've had lots of live drawing demos. And on Monday, are we having a clay lesson? Is that right?
We had a clay lesson today, actually.
Oh, that's right.
And it was beautiful. If you go on and see our feed from earlier today, Stephanie Dennis made a clay bird and was really cool. In fact, Miles, my son, who's 6, goes, "Daddy, can we make that?" And it was at the end of her demo. And I said, "Buddy, what's going to be great is that will stay on our Facebook page, and we will get out your clay and make a bird later." So yeah, Stephanie Dennis was today. Next week, we've got some great stuff. And in general, guys, we have something going on at 1 and 6 p.m. pretty much every day, and usually with a heads up prior to that time. One thing we're trying out next Monday morning, if you guys know one of our most infamous, or should I say endearing studio artist, Rodney Reveal, is going to be doing a live watercolor lesson on Facebook Live at 10 a.m. on Monday. So if you don't catch it live, you can catch it after the fact. But we're doing this also as an experiment to see how this works to do virtual lessons. Depending on how long this goes on, we could potentially do some online lessons, and you guys can learn some techniques like watercolor.
Yeah, I just want to interject really quickly and note that I'm going to change back to the gallery view, that we talked to Jeanette Parsi today as well. And in addition to some other cool things that we'll talk about in a minute that she's up to, she is starting to look at ways to move her classes online. So our Monday night drawing class should hopefully resume soon. I saw that Jerry Lang, who I think I've met through Stuart Sager. So nice to see you joining us today. He mentioned being interested in live drawing, and I think live drawing through Zoom could be really interesting and fun. So we're looking forward to trying that for sure.
And Aaron Head is also in the house. Hi, Aaron.
It's Aaron Head.
One of my favorite Nobles villains.
Yeah. And Aaron, you're on a whole new adventure now, from what I understand. That's the rumor on the street. So we want to hear about that at some point. That's the thing about First Friday. Like, the thing I looked forward to most at First Friday was getting to be able to spend like 5 deep minutes with everybody who comes in, getting the latest on what they're up to, gossiping a little bit, reminding them how great they are. And so even if I can't see you physically right now, I hope this helps serve some of that purpose, because we miss you guys intensely, and we're really trying to pay attention to the things that you're doing and help boost them throughout the community. So for example,
and some of us, sorry to interrupt, I was going to say,
fine.
some of us 5 minutes a month is plenty, but,
Yeah.
but we do like that 5 minutes that we get with you. And you
Right.
probably say the same about us, to be honest.
Yeah, right. But it is, I mean, that was really, I think that's one of the reasons that First Friday has become such a popular phenomenon across the country, is that it gives you this very specific, like the social rules there are kind of built in and implied, and it's a quick touch point. It makes you feel cool and like you're sewn into what's happening. And that can be enough, and that's fine. I admit there are parts of social distancing that I don't mind. But the chance to just remember what a cool community we are part of and how many incredibly talented people there are here, that's really important, I think. So,
and even it's weird being around downtown Noblesville. I just saw Michael Wilson, who owns All Local grocery store with his wife Robin on the square. He said, "Hey, maybe Jeff Wilson could do Jeff Wilson. I've got Wilson on the brain.
yeah.
Maybe Jeff Davis could do some virtual ukulele lessons." And I have seen Jeff on his bike around downtown, and I think he's been in his just in his workshop at his house. I don't know what he's doing, but that would be a great idea for Jeff to do. We'll have to talk to him about that.
Yeah, I love that. And we know that several other partners are watching right now. This is fun. You may get stereo sirens at the moment. This is the real 8th Street experience, y'all.
Yep, right across the street from all the action.
Yeah. So now I completely lost my train of thought. I was going to,
we were talking about our wonderful partners.
Yes, who are out there. Like Caravan Classes, we desperately want to continue to push what you guys are doing. We know you have some pickup activities out there. So people can order their art activity to cure their own boredom and keep their creativity going. And we know that those are available to be picked up at Caravan Classes, but we would love to share you guys doing projects live, and we want to help you figure that out. And so any of the rest of you who are out there listening to us, keep us posted. Curtis gave a little bit of a shout out to All Local, but I know All Local is still pushing hard and working really hard right now. So that is, we want to give them a shout out too.
Hi, Jeanette.
Yay, it's Jeanette. So speaking of Jeanette and a couple other artists in our network are doing some really cool things right now. Jeanette is hand making face masks. And we just put them on our Noble Made online store, which I think Coda, who is monitoring our comments, can post a link to momentarily here. But Jeanette is offering those for $6. Nickel Plate keeps a 20% commission on those, just a tiny little one. And the rest just pay for her supplies. They of course aren't, like the medically, scientifically approved face masks, but since we only just now got the memo that the government is recommending that everybody wear face masks in public, that's a really cool way to do it. They are, they're going to be a little more colorful, a little more interesting, a little more unique than the formal respirators that a lot of people may be wearing.
And just to update everyone, sorry, I was going to say that just came across my screen, New York Times update on my phone, and it is a voluntary measure that is being recommended by the CDC for people when they go out in public to wear some kind of mask. And I think even like a bandana will work. But Ailey was talking about people in our network who are making some really unique and I'll say cute masks.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Cute, more personal, more unique. And, it's a great way to support the local arts community too. I think we're all really aware of the fact that our small businesses in the area are really threatened right now, right? I know I'm doing a lot less in-person shopping than I was before. I used to go, I think I was like paying for at least one server at Rosie's by how many times I was going there. And you just can't participate quite that way now that you used to. But it's important to remember that artists are small businesses as well. And so that's why we're working so hard to make sure our online presence is really strong and really robust and easy to use, because it's a way that you can support small business, local artists, keep this community healthy and thriving. And we have so many clever artists in our network. So both Jeanette Parsi and Margaret Smith have seen an opportunity to do something they know how to do, which is to sew and to use fabric really effectively to make masks. And they are they're doing just that. So you can support their cause by going to Noble Made. I know that I saw that Coda got it in the comment stream there. And of course, you can always find a link to Noble Made from our website as well.
Yeah, yeah, it looks like Jeff Davis is in the house. We haven't heard from him yet, although because we're creepers, we can see that he just joined the live stream.
Awesome.
I think it's important to note. So I think a lot of us are, I would say all of us are anxious to a certain extent right now. And maybe we feel isolated or lonely to a certain extent. I think with all of the backdrop of everything that has come up in the last month, really, I think we can have
Curtis.
Yeah, go ahead.
But we have a magical guest, and I need to make note.
Oh, great!
Come back to your really important statement.
Yeah, it wasn't that important. Don't worry about it.
I think we're getting a live update from Fairyville. Is that right? Oh, Fairy, we need to turn your mic on. Let me see if I can do that for you. I can't do it from mine. She's got to use her magical powers here. But while she's working on that,
I was just going to say, I was going to give us permission to have some fun tonight, even though things have been crazy. So let's have some fun. And Fairy, will you make sure that you unmute your microphone?
I think she did, but now we can't hear her. So there is a way, Fairy, that you can dial the number in to speak to us right now. You look absolutely wonderfully magical.
Haley, can you unmute her?
She says she's unmuted on my end as well. Oh. So we may, I don't know if I have opportunities to turn up the volume, but we may end up with a pantomime fairy here in a minute. We've got a wonderful fairy assistant.
Maybe a fairy godmother.
Yes, a fairy godmother. Very good. So I'm going to let them work on their.
Well, interesting. So fairies aren't used to traditional human technology. They're used to things like fairy dust, and I don't know if they use pixie dust or if that's more for the pixies, or if they don't like each other. It's kind of a sharks and jets kind of thing. But yeah, we're all getting used to the Zoom and all the things that we're having to communicate with right now.
Right. Usually when fairies Zoom, it means something else, right? They fly around and they zoom around. And so I can still see her. Fairy, talk as loud as you can. Oh, there's no audio. I don't understand. So we're going to keep trying here. So an important feature of this is that we need to note that Fairyville has been postponed just momentarily. We are looking at the fall. We're looking for dates to reschedule Fairyville here. And we're looking at potentially in September in connection with the White River cleanup. We're also looking at, we would love to be able to guess when this quarantine is going to be lifted and have it happen right after that. But it's probably more likely that it's going to be in the fall or the September or October. That's what I'm looking at. I'm trying to do too many things at once.
But all that to say that Fairyville is still going to happen this year.
Right.
It's just going to be at a date to be determined later. We're just going to have to save the magic for whenever we can all be together again physically, right?
That's right. And so when we get our fairy back, we will find out what's going on in Fairyville, because of course, even if we can't see it, Fairyville is still existing, and get some tips about what's coming up.
So for anyone who just joined, this is our first ever virtual First Friday. It's April 1st Friday. And because we have done 90 First Fridays in a row that have been physical, traditional on Nickel Plate Arts campus here in downtown Noblesville, we did not want to break our streak. So the 91st one is happening now. And I have it on good authority that our fairy is connecting right now. Go ahead, Fairy.
Hi. Hi.
Hello. So thank you so much for joining us and for figuring out all the magical technology.
Yeah.
Can you, why don't you introduce yourself to us? Who are you?
Well, my name is Azurai, and I control the sky. I mostly the wind, but I also move the clouds around.
Whoa, and you've done a beautiful job this evening then, because it's virtually cloudless behind you. I am very impressed.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, so we know, as we've already established, our Fairyville situation has been delayed, but we know that you guys are still around. Can you give us a little bit of an update about Fairyville? How are things? How's life for the fairies?
Well, COVID-19 is still affecting us, but we don't get as sick as humans do.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes, and since so many humans are staying at home, we have to work a lot harder to use our usual mischief and magic.
I see. So you've got more work to do, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any examples of work you've been doing?
Well, my friend, who's a garderobe gnome, if you ever go to the bathroom and find that your toilet paper roll is hung the wrong way, that's because of him. But since everyone but since everyone is hoarding toilet paper, he's been having a lot of trouble recently with that.
I can imagine. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, good. But it sounds like you guys are taking it in stride, huh? All the Fae are on top of this right now?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so, but at this time of year, in a year where you're not having to deal with a global pandemic, what would you fairies be doing? Isn't this like the time of year usually that you guys you're like getting out and about? I know, usually we're putting out houses for you at this time of year.
Yeah, you guys, that's usually what's happening.
But are you guys just dealing with it right now? You're dealing with the overpopulation in Fairyville right now?
Yeah, it's kind of hard because not as many people have been making fairy houses, but we have just had to deal with the overpopulation. It's very cramped. There are like 6 fairies living in my house right now. I don't like it.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of fairies.
Well, so that's a good point that you bring up, and that's one of the reasons we're planning on moving Fairyville to the fall. But in the meantime, can people help you fairies with your housing crunch?
Yeah, you can make houses for us right now, so we can actually have room, and
so that's actually, because people are at home. A lot of kids and students at home with their parents, and a lot of just bored grown-ups, to be honest. And making a fairy house would be a great activity right now. And we would love if people shared their fairy houses either as they're being built or their final product, just waiting to put on our fairy trail. So go ahead.
Well, that helps us too, because then when you post about it on Nickel Plate Arts, then we know that it's open and we can see it.
It's like you can do some fairy house shopping even online, huh?
Yeah.
Call your fairy realtor, get all things set up. So let me ask you this, Fairy. What makes a good fairy home?
The most important thing is that they need to be made mostly out of natural materials, because most of us don't like living in plastic bags or soda cans.
Don't blame me for that. Good. Anything else that we need to know? What about, like, do different kinds of fairies like different kinds of housing materials or situations?
Yeah, most gnomes and earth dwellers like things that maybe toads would like. But flying fairies and sky fairies like me, we'd like a taller house, like one in a tree or something like that. But we don't like strings because they catch on our wings.
Okay, that is good to know. See, yeah.
And what about glitter? Let me ask you about glitter. What is your position on glitter on a fairy house?
Glitter, we don't like glitter because we already have our fairy dust, and we don't need all of those bits of glitter that get everywhere.
Now, okay, I'm sure there are hundreds of parents and fairy parents that just took a huge sigh of relief hearing that. So do you have any recommendations for how people can start their fairy house or fairy garden?
If you want your fairy house to become a part of Fairyville, then start with a thin piece of plywood or a really thick piece of cardboard so that it will be strong and light to move around easily. And then I recommend you choose basic building materials like sticks, cardboard, bark, or even grasses. And once you've built your structure, be sure to leave a door for fairies to get in.
That
Very
makes
good
sense.
point. Very smart.
They're not like Santa, after all.
Yeah. He's a jolly old elf. He's not a fairy.
Yeah. Fairy.
Any tips on how to like personalize it? Do fairies like cookie cutter houses, or do they need things that make them unique?
Well, fairies have all sorts of interests, and so if you think that a fairy will like it, or if you like it, then a fairy will probably like it.
Awesome. That's great. This is all great advice. So I have a suggestion. I think we should gather all of this advice that our Sky Fairy has given us today and package it, and we can send it out to our members with tips and tricks for building great fairy houses. Would you be willing to maybe include a note to our members in that mailing?
Of course.
Well, great. Love it.
Yeah.
Um,
Not good at details.
yeah. No, we like enthusiasm. That's wonderful.
Well, and it sounds like that you live alongside bees, butterflies, birds. I heard some birds and maybe some frogs. So anything that you do for those kind of creatures would be good for fairies, right?
Yes, that is correct.
What are some other things that can help keep our fairy world healthy this time of year?
Well, no littering. We don't like littering. And harsh chemicals on your lawn that can kill grass and can poison our animals.
Sounds like they would hurt you as well, huh?
Yeah, they hurt us.
Well, Ailey was talking about some member mailings and some special things for Nickel Plate members. Ailey, did you want to jump in and maybe ask the fairy for a favor about helping us out with the mailing?
Yeah, so hopefully you'd be willing to include a note to everybody in that. And maybe you and I can collaborate on some other surprises that we could send out.
Yes.
Excellent. I have it on good authority since Curtis mentioned flowers. I know we want to get as many native flowers and plant seeds out in the world as we can. So maybe that's something we can team up on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you can promise good weather, then we'll work on some plant seeds.
Okay.
Excellent.
Well, Azrai, thank you for joining us on Virtual First Friday. You know, it seems like magic, this technology bringing us together. So it really makes sense that you'd be here on our Virtual First Friday, because it's just a magical thing. So thanks for joining us. And is there anything else you'd like to say to our audience before you have to fly back to Fairyville?
Well, just have fun at home, I guess. I not have fun at home. Yeah.
So, do you have any tips for what people should do? Like if they want to find fairies?
Well, if you see one of our animal friends like bees or birds, like we mentioned earlier, then you'll know that we're always there, even if you can't see us.
That's a great tip. Awesome. Well, thank you, Azrai. Thank your fairy godmother and your fairy godbrother for us there.
I will.
And farewell.
Bye.
Awesome. Very cool.
That was cool.
Look at the magic of First Fridays.
Yeah, a fairy on First Friday. Can you guys believe that?
Is everybody still following along with us here? I'm just checking our feed real quick. Good work. So now is the point of the evening where I think we want to turn to some music. Is that right, Curtis?
Yep.
And if I remember correctly, I know we've been having all kinds of musicians on our Facebook feed. I know Eric Thornbury from Noblesville High School has been doing a lot of great stuff for us, and we're working on rescheduling, a new time for him coming up. This evening, we were supposed to have Iridium Point, a local band featuring Grant McClintock and several other folks who are going to play here. Of course, if they had come tonight, it wouldn't do a whole lot of good to be playing in our gallery. So we're going to see if we can get them on our Facebook Live feed sometime soon. But we wanted to share with everybody tonight one of the wonderful musicians who is literally our neighbor, lives right around the corner from Nickel Plate Arts, has shared some wonderful clips with us. And I think we want to try to share those today, right, Curtis?
That's right. Are you going to do that from your screen or from mine?
I need you to vamp while I figure out how to pull it up.
Okay. So it's funny. We were out on a walk the other day, my family and I, and Andy's got a little one, and they were out riding bikes as well, and said hi to him from across the street from a safe social distance. And I said, hey, did you send us some videos? Because we want to see your stuff. And he said, I did. Check your email. And I just happened to be behind on my emails at the time. So I connected with Andy, and Coda got us all connected with some of his videos that are on his YouTube page.
Yes. Okay. I'm almost there. Here we go. So give me a moment, everyone, to share my audio with you as well. I got to remember how to do that. Share computer audio, computer sound. Okay, hopefully this is going to work.
Started out head down a dirty road. Started out all alone. The sun went down across the hills. The town lit up. Still learning to fly, yeah, but I ain't got wings. on the clouds. What goes up must come down.
Come Monday. Thank you very
I
much.
went on
One
to
of my
Houston,
2.4 hit records.
stopped in
We had no
San-
money to do this video. Thus, I had my girlfriend at the Jane work for free.
Okay, hold on, everybody. I don't know what's happening. We're gonna figure out, I think I've got two videos running at once here. Give me 1 second.
And my
There we go. All right, now we'll get back to sharing Andy Schomburg. Thanks for your patience. Here we go.
Passed up the station for a bus. I was looking for something, but I wasn't sure just what. I ended up with pockets full of dust. So I went on to Cleveland, but I ended up insane. Bought a borrowed suit and learned to dance. I was spending money like the way it likes to rain. I ended up with pockets full of cocaine. Oh, my sweet Carolina, what compels me to go? Oh, my sweet disposition, won't you one day carry me home? I ain't never been to Vegas, but I gambled all my life. Racing newsprint boats down the sewer mains. I was looking for something, but I wasn't sure just what. Ain't it funny how they say some things never change? Oh, my sweet Carolina, what compels me to go? Oh, my sweet disposition, would you one day carry me home? Up here in the city, feel like the walls are closing in. Sundown's my light bulb burning out. Well, I miss Kentucky and I miss my family. The sweetest winds they blow through the south. Oh, my sweet Carolina, what compels me to go? Oh, my sweet disposition, city. I come home in the morning, go to bed, feet down, the same way. I ain't nothing to tell you. I'm just tired of going my city. Hey there, baby, I'm on like you just a little bit. Can't start a fire, can't start a fire without a smoke. This calls for hire. Even if you just dance out the door. Messages keep getting clear. Radio's on and I'm moving around my place. Check my look in the mirror. Wanna change my clothes, my hair, my face, man, I ain't even know it. I'm just tired of going myself. Hey there, baby, I could use just a little help. Can't start a fire, can't start a fire without a smoke. This calls for hire. Even if we just dance out in the door. Sit around eating oatmeal. There's a joke, there's a line in the song. Shake his foot off my shoulder. Oh, maybe laughs on me. Stay off the streets of this town. They'll be carving you up alright. They say you gotta stay hungry. Come on, baby, I'm just about starving tonight. Time for some action. Sick of sitting around here, trying to write this book. I need love reaction. You make just one look. Can't start a fire, can't start a fire without a smoke. This calls for hire. Even if we just dance out, can't start a fire. Worried about your little world falling apart. This calls for hire. Even if we just dance out in the door.
Okay, and we're back. Let me stop the repeating Andy Schomburg here and come back to my screen. Can everybody hear me?
Yep,
Excellent. Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing good, Allie. How about yourself?
Good. Curtis, can you hear us too?
I sure can.
Excellent. Good. Hopefully everything's working. So Tom Rich is with us from the Fishers Arts Council. Tom is the current president of the Arts Council. Is that right, Tom?
Yes, unless they voted me out over.
Yeah. We have not.
It's a
received that
coup.
So, but you know, we were talking about all our wonderful partners earlier, and Fishers Arts Council is certainly one of those. One of our most active partners too, I think is fair to say. And you guys aren't letting this crisis get you down either, are you?
Now we're trying to stay ahead of everything and trying to keep everybody with a happy face and going forward with a lot of virtual things.
Awesome. Very good. Yeah, so tell us about those. What kind of virtual things do you have going on?
Sure. If you go to our website and you look under the heading of Art Gallery, you're going to find there a listing of all the public art in the city. And what we're going to be doing, hopefully, is teaming up with Ashton Wolf for one of his Indie on the Town segments. And we're going to be covering art in Fishers Public Art. So that's what we're doing. We also have a virtual tour of the Alcove Gallery at the Art at City Hall, and that's featuring Bryce Culver House. We're going to be coming out in May with an exhibit by Britton Faring, and that'll be a virtual gallery as well. We're doing with you and some others. There you go. You got it. All right. Yeah, Britton,
That's cool, guys.
Yeah.
Bryce is into topography, which is something that he created some time ago, and he's got it's based solely on the letters that form great images.
Wow.
And this combines his passion with visual art and history, and he's done a lot of this. And we're hoping to showcase some other artists, and we'll be posting on our webpage. So if anybody wants to be a part of this, we would also like to have them. We're going to be interviewing Bryce this Thursday from 4 to 9 on 4/9 from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Okay, April 9th.
Yeah, April 9th, 6:30 to 7:30.
Awesome.
And then, we're doing Asset with you guys. Thank you. With the help from you and Ignite. In
Yes,
our first,
right?
That's asset, not acid, that we're doing with you guys. Yes.
Like Tom said. We're not to that point of this quarantine yet. Tom, do you remember what ASSET stands for? I know it's an acronym, right?
I had it here in front of me, and now I don't have it. So no, I can't tell you what that stands for, but it's a live lecture series. And our first panel is going to be Tom Hume and Jill Lehman of High Frequency Arts, and Eric Salazar of The Clarinet Guy. They'll be covering social media, branding, and online sales.
That's wonderful. And give us the date for that again.
April 23rd, online, and you can go in on our webpage under Artists for Artists, the heading for artists, and sign up on that. And you know that I have fun every night on Facebook and posting images of famous artwork. And last night we did Edward Hooper, who's going to be at the IMA in June.
Cool.
So anybody can go see him there. And then tonight we did George O'Keeffe.
That's great. Yeah, you guys are doing a really nice job of some just basic arts education, which is a fun thing at this time of year. I know earlier this week, you and I had shared some links about there are a couple of museums around the country that are challenging people to use stuff in their own house.
Yeah.
To recreate classic, images. So like,
yeah, I just saw one with I can't even think of who it was. The famous one where the man and woman with the pitchforks. What am I?
American Gothic, yeah.
The American. Thank you, JC,
Yeah.
and a couple others. So we're going to be doing that. Also, we're going to introduce Monday to Monday challenges.
Oh.
And I'm not going to tell you more about it. You have to tune in next week to check out our website to see what that's all about.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, that's so far what we've been up to. And as you know, the sad news is Sparks is canceled, and the art walk with Among the Cars is canceled. But hey, we got so much other stuff going on. It's really exciting. So
Well, it's interesting having seen that the Spark Festival is on hold, and that the art show, car show you guys had been working on, which was going to predate, be the week before Spark. Even though that was canceled, it made me think there could be some really neat opportunities to explore stuff like that. Later on today, we're going to talk to some of the artists who are doing a public art project in Noblesville at the Gordon Marking Building. And one of the artists, Coda, who's also our employee, is doing murals of dogs in like classic cars.
Oh,
and
cool.
So I think maybe it's an opportunity to do, to try to do a virtual show of car art or something like that too.
Oh, that would be great. We anything we can do to help out on that, we would love to. Hey, and by the way, if anybody's been to Fisher's, Connie and I, my wife, took a walk around Holland Park tonight and saw the rocks with all the paintings on it. So thanks Fisher's Parks and Rec for putting the rocks with all the different signs on it. So go out and look for that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, Fisher's Parks has been doing such a good job of pushing out virtual content and ideas for engagement as well. If you don't follow them on Facebook or Instagram, you should. Fishers Parks and Rec are just doing an awesome job. Noblesville Parks and Rec are also working on some cool projects that we hope we can update everybody on in the next week or two as well.
Yeah, because just because our kids can't play on the equipment doesn't mean they can't have fun at the park and outside in nature, right?
Oh, absolutely. There's just so much going on out there. When we were out on a walk today, there was this young little girl, probably 6, and her mom probably helped her, but she put on this big, one of those privacy fences, outlined words: be smart, be happy, be courageous. We're going to get through this all together. And she was painting it with colored chalk. And she wasn't done yet, so I didn't take a picture of it, and I will be posting that later. But yeah, kids are doing that kind of stuff, and chalk on the walk. So they're out there really enjoying themselves as well, and doing some artwork.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Tom. Anything else you want to plug or make sure everybody knows about?
I won't until we're gone, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, you can always you've got the login information. You can always come back. Or send an email.
I think we will. But we talked about the Indie on the Town. We talked about the interviews, the Facebook Live interview with Bryce on next Thursday, April 9th from 6:30 to 7:30, and the Asset.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
So I think that's about it. But hey, got to say, JC, thank you for all you're doing. Ailey, thank you for all you're doing. And this is such a fun time to be a part of all this stuff. So let's just keep a happy face and go forward.
Love it. See, this is why you're president, Tom, because you always have just the right spin on things. Well, thanks for joining us. And I know that Coda got the links to fishersartscouncil.org in our chat, so folks can find you, and we'll just keep everybody updated on what you're up to.
Sounds good. After we go get our groceries, we may come back online.
Excellent. Good. Yes. Just stay safe.
You guys.
Okay.
Nice talking to you, Tom.
All right. Take care, JC.
Excellent. Okay. So that was our update from Fishers Arts Council, and really they are incredibly busy right now. I am just endlessly impressed with them. Curtis, I think this is a good point to remind everybody about another awesome Fishers location, which is also a partner and sponsor of ours.
Absolutely. So I, while Andy was playing music, I ran to their fridge and cracked open a 4-Day Ray Blood Orange Blonde, which is my personal favorite of the 4-Day Ray options. They are one of Nickel Plate Art's great sponsors. And did you know, Blood Orange Blonde, I learned this, they originally created it as like a seasonal summer brew, but it quickly became their most popular beer at 4-Day Ray and Fishers. And so now it is on year round. Also behind me, and might disappear over the next couple hours, the peanut butter porter, which is really good. When I first heard peanut butter porter, I said, that sounds weird, but then I tried it and it's amazing. And this is a year-round beer as well. And then currently one that is still a seasonal is called Snowshed Winter Ale, and it is excellent. I can attest to that. So we appreciate all of our friends in Fishers, and man, we hope to be able to connect with all of our partners in person again soon, right?
Right, absolutely. And did you mention what they're available for right now? We might as well say.
Oh, no, I didn't. So I called them earlier just to say, hey guys, what's the deal? And so basically 4-Day Ray is open to do carry out orders of food right now. And then they are also selling 6-packs, and you can get growler fills. However, you can't bring a previously used growler in, but you can put a deposit in on a new one. And then when this thing all shakes out, you can bring it back and get your deposit back.
Got it.
So 4-Day Ray, drop that link into the chat, Coda, please,
Yeah.
and thank you.
Coda's been having trouble with her internet connection, as many of us have experienced over time. Stuart and I have had to even ration like when we can stream and things like that, so that it keeps going. So she may not be following us right now, but she'll come back.
That's okay. I just dropped it in. Well, the
Yeah.
thing is, so we've been having internet issues as well, and I ordered like this internet extender connection thing for our house, like seriously 3 weeks ago when we were still working in physical offices and stuff, and it just got to my house today, and I plugged it in, and so now my internet in my garage is much stronger, so I can not also be in the same room as my 2 young children who I love dearly.
But who are not necessarily the most professional coworkers.
Yeah. I mean, if they were interns, we'd keep them on, but I would not be a professional recommendation at this point.
Yeah, they've got.
Unless you're talking about, unless you're looking for a 6:30 a.m. wake up call, in which case they are awesome at that. 6:30, 4:30 a.m., 2:30 a.m. It's great.
Well, and I've been really enjoying just watching everybody on social media comment about their new coworkers, some of which are children, some of which are spouses, and some of which are furry. I have a new coworker at home who has 4 legs, a tail, and fur, and is a jerk.
That's not a nice way to talk about Stuart.
Yeah. No, he's been lovely, and he will be with us later today and give us an update on what he's been up to. We've been getting along wonderfully, which did actually kind of surprise me because, there's a point, right, where you spend enough time with somebody, but we haven't hit it yet. But anyway, my cat, Thomas, the very first day that I was working from home, I took a break for lunch, which you guys know is unusual for me. I don't always stop. But I took a break for lunch. I went and sliced some cheese and went back to the refrigerator, put it away. I heard a noise that sounded like a plate being moved around, and I turned back, and he had gotten in the seat of the chair, which was under the table. He reached up over the top of the table and was pulling the cheese off to his face. So I have to say, if nothing else, COVID-19 has really helped me appreciate how awesome my coworkers actually are. Coda actually tried to steal cheese off my plate. So I appreciate that about you guys for sure. Curtis, it looks like you are going mobile.
Be taking a stroll outside real quick because Tom was talking about cool chalk stuff that's going on in.
Oh no, we lost you. I don't know if we lost the link or lost your audio, but I could hear you out my door, but I couldn't hear you.
Can you see this?
Yes, and we can hear you.
You can hear me? So this is some chalk art that I whipped up about 5 minutes before we started. It says, "You are strong." It's got a happy face. Did that myself. You know what? Because I am a glutton for self-punishment, this is this is what I originally started with. I was going to do this cat that says "hang in there," but this head ended up just at a weird angle for the body. So I wasn't going to use that as an example. I was going to use this. Now, this is an example of what we're looking for in our, we have a chalk art contest going on, and we are calling it hashtag art not germs, because we want people to share art, not germs. So this isn't just for kids, it's for anyone who wants to bust out the sidewalk chalk. And we believe that art can spread joy and brighten anyone's day. And this kind of chalk can literally brighten someone's day and give them some hope as they're walking their dog or, on a walk with their kid or whatever, just to get out of the house and walk around on the sidewalk. You can make your neighbors' days a lot better right now. So if you have an example of some great sidewalk chalk art, whether it is more of a nailed it like mine or just a nice thing to say, you can take a picture of it, share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and tag Nickel Plate Arts and use the hashtag art not germs, because we want you to share art not germs. And we are working on getting some prizes together and stuff, but in general right now, just do something really happy and positive, and we will share it along with our network as well once you share it with us.
Yeah, and I want to jump in here, Curtis, because we've been seeing families go out into their neighborhoods. We've been watching some really cool just community efforts sort of organically grow in neighborhoods. I know in Old Town Noblesville, neighbors are putting teddy bears in their windows so that as you go on a socially distanced walk, you can look around and see if you can find all the teddy bears. We want to see that same thing happen with chalk art. And as the weather gets better, which it is going to over the next several days, we know people are going to be out doing that. And if you did not stock up on your sidewalk chalk, no worries. Before, if you didn't get it before everything shut down, we ordered some extra packs of sidewalk chalk. And so if you know of somebody who could use them, we can mail them to them. We also don't mind putting them in a Ziploc bag and putting them out at the end of people's driveways with a note on them. And I'm serious. So let us know if you or somebody you know needs a pack of nice, they're going to be Sargent art.
Chalk pastels, right?
Yeah. And it's just a small set. It's only 12 pastels. We stocked up on those. We have a handful that we can lend out to the community to keep this going. And we're working on tying in Noblesville Parks because Noblesville Parks has a lot of, they still have their budget, they still have their staff, but there are a lot of things that were deemed non-essential services. So they're trying to figure out all the cool ways that they can reach out to people and be supporting, not necessarily the parks. You can still take a walk through the park, of course, but people may be needing some of those ties to recreation closer to home. And so we're looking forward to hopefully next week having an update about that. So
yes, and an update for my next door neighbor, Beth Dunlop. I will bring some chalk home for you this evening. I'll put it on your porch and feel free to disinfect it when you get it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. If it stays out overnight, I think some of the viruses may be slowed down. I don't know. I don't want to spread misinformation there. But,
No.
So yeah, once again, hashtag art not germs. We've also been using the hashtag the art goes on, which is what's on our website as well. And we want to use that to help gather together sort of the professional artist projects that are happening at this time, ways that you've been inspired either by this quarantine or in spite of this quarantine. If you're on social media, please use the hashtag the art goes on for that conversation as well.
We love a good hashtag around here,
We do.
Just drop in all the hashtags and tag us and tag your brother, tag your mother, and we'll see it.
Yeah. Deanna Leonard at Caravan Classes just pointed out that downtown businesses would like to do this as well. And Deanna, I have noticed several businesses just organically putting stuff in their windows. And I bet you would agree with me that Nickel Plate Arts, Caravan Classes, other groups downtown would be more than happy to help businesses and building owners spruce up their windows, create something so that those spaces still look bright and cheery as people go by. I've been talking to Kayla Arnold from the city of Noblesville about that very idea as well. Like, how could we start placing temporary public art near spaces that people are going to for their curbside pickup of food and things like that. I know Girly Steele, Joni Drizzen, and Josh, her son, have already started doing that. If you've gone to Noble Coffee lately, you might have noticed that they've got some of their cool metal sculptures in the planters near the pickup location. And we know that that's going to happen organically, and we want to support that as much as possible. So if you're doing something like that, tell us, because we want to show it off for you. And if you have an idea, if you're a business owner or a building owner, or even just a homeowner, and you have something you wish you saw outside your door every day, let us know that too, because we have lots of artists in our network who would be more than happy to work on things like that right now.
Ones that are much better than I am. And, unless you want a cat with a head coming out the side of its back. In that case, I'm your guy. I'll make you a really good price on a cat with a head coming out the side of its torso.
I hadn't seen it yet, and so I have to say that was a wonderful reveal.
I just watched some people walk by on the sidewalk, and they looked at it, and they just kept walking by. They didn't laugh, but they looked at it, and it's kind of one of those, oh, bless your heart kind of things, and they kept walking.
Well, we do want to remind everybody that everybody can draw. In fact, Victor Dandridge, who's another artist in our network, just yesterday did a great lesson at 1:00 on our Facebook Live feed, proving that anyone can draw. He and his daughter went through and practiced all these different elements of art. So thank you, Curtis, for emphasizing that everyone in our community is. So I want to make sure that we give some time and some props to our online exhibits, because, oh my gosh, the April exhibit ended up being, I think, it was possibly our most, the show to which we've had the most contributions, aside maybe from our gifted shows at Christmas time, but even it might even rival gifted. That we had so many responses this time around. Curtis, if you could pull up the script, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to see both at once.
Certainly.
So we want to share with everybody, a lot of people had some really amazing stories, touching stories that go along with the artwork that they put in this show. The theme for this exhibit this time around was nature versus nurture. And I'm going to take a second to share my screen with you guys, so that we can start looking at these. And Curtis, as we go through, will share information about the pieces that we're looking at here. So I'm going to
certainly
full screen. So nature versus nurture, originally this was supposed to be the backdrop for Fairyville for us, but we also thought that a spring show that got people thinking about either a nature theme or about sort of family relationships would be a good idea at this time of year. And then, of course, we thought it would be fun to challenge artists to think about that scientific, sort of conundrum of is your behavior and your identity written in your DNA, or is it influenced by how you've been brought up and how things have worked for you over your lifetime?
And let's mention also, Ailey, that these are all for sale. So if people go to nickelplatearts.org/exhibits, they can see what we're seeing right now, and they can cycle through each of our 3 galleries that we have right now. So Ailey just clicked on Beth Forst's piece right here, and you can see it takes us to our Square store, where you can see the price and a little bit more information like the size and things like that.
Yep. And we can arrange for curbside pickup, just like with food for art. We can make sure that everything is handled safely and cleanly for you, or we can hold on to things, of course, until the quarantine is over. All you have to do is, you can type it in the notes if you want to buy a piece, give us instructions on how you'd like to have it. We can ship it to you. We can allow you to pick it up. And I just have to get back to the right screen.
So yeah, let's jump back over to the exhibits page. And while you do, we can go through, Beth Forst has a few pieces first. And then once we get to Jerry Dreesen's piece about tulips, I've got a little note that he shared.
These are each Beth Forst here. Hopefully.
And these Valencia boats here, the ones that we just saw, that has been sold. So if you want to buy it, too late.
Bad.
She'll sell you a print.
Yes, or we'll put you in touch with Beth and you can do a commission with her too.
Yeah, Beth is our next door neighbor here at Nickel Plate Arts. She lives 2 doors over, and she is an awesome neighbor.
It's really true.
So this Jerry Dreesen piece, this is much bigger than the picture lets on. It's 30 by 40 inches acrylic on canvas, and he says that these tulips were purchased for his wife, and the tulips were painted at the near end of their life. So as you can see, they've got a little bit of a droop to them, and that caught his eye.
If anyone who knows Jerry Dreesen, he is one of the absolute sweetest people. He's been such a wonderful supporter of Nickel Plate Arts, and I have it on good authority that he's been working on his own fairy garden. He's sent us photos, which I may be able to share later, that are just so cute. And so this concept with the wonderful whimsical poem that goes with it really is very touching. But we love you, Jerry. So.
Then we've got a couple pieces from Paige Harper once you click past. It's okay.
My menu keeps popping up for me, so I can't actually hit the bar. There we go. And we'll get back to exhibits. There we go.
There we go.
So are these are Paige Harper's pieces here?
Yep, ceramic pieces by Paige Harper.
Boy, that dragon one is really cool.
That is cool.
And then it looks like we have a rhino.
This is Robert Bratton. The piece is called Protection, Better in the Wild or in the Zoo. So dealing with nature versus nurture.
Excellent.
And this is also Robert Bratton. It's called Take Care of the Land. And if you want to go to the next one, Adam Starr has some really cool photography that he has done some digital manipulation with. This one's called Angel Down. And he says, this was taken at McCormick's Creek State Park in Bloomington. The way the child is positioned in the frame felt symbolic and iconic to me. That's really cool.
That is really cool. That lighting is hard to achieve with a camera. Very cool.
This is another Adam Starr, and boy, am I going to butcher this. It's French. It's called La Nuit est un panthère, which I think might mean the night is a panther. Pardon my French. He says this photo was not taken in the Sahara Desert, contrary to belief, but at the Great Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado. I love the duality of colors in this photo and the vastness of the landscape compared to the coupled figures. Yeah.
Very cool. Love it.
This is another Adam Starr. He says, why play by the rules? This photo was taken close to Palm Beach, California. I was on the tail end of a road trip out to Joshua Tree National Park, which started days before in Indiana. So long road trip.
Love it. Oh, we've seen this piece before, but it's wonderful.
Yeah, this one's called You Are Loved. As you can see, the guy's holding that sign that says You Are Loved. He says, this photo was taken in New Orleans during Mardi Gras 2017. I came across this man holding the You Are Loved sign and it felt like I needed to capture the moment. This photograph captures not only the atmosphere of New Orleans, but the touching gesture of this man.
Love it.
And now we get to one of our favorite artists and favorite people in the whole world. This is Carol Griffith. She does paintings and photography and all kinds of stuff. She's kind of a jack of all trades, or Jill of all trades, if you will. So this is called Natural Tree Art, and it is an 11 by 16 photo. Framed is about 16 by 20. She says this piece gives us an example of naturally occurring art. On a hike at Katewi Park on a lovely bright winter afternoon, I encountered these fellows in a tree. I think the one guy winked at me. My husband never noticed them, but I always keep an eye out for something unusual. And there they were.
That is so Carol.
Totally. This next one is also Carol. And can you guess where that is, where that picture takes place?
Is that Niagara Falls?
It is. This is called Niagara Falls with rainbow and naturally growing flowers. She says, this is another one frame that is 16 by 20. And Carol says, this is a photo I took on our way back from Old Forge, New York, where I had delivered one of my paintings, which was juried into the Adirondack National Exhibition of American Watercolors. That's a little humble brag there. Nice job, Carol. She says, we had my granddaughter with us on the trip, and she had never seen the falls. It was an exceptional day, and as we approached a bluff to gaze down upon the falls, an amazing rainbow appeared as if to greet us. I love the fact that there were flowers growing in the foreground, which added more interest to the photo.
That's so cool. And what a great nature versus nurture thing. Excuse me. You know, so on the one hand, you have this natural environment that is so iconic, and then you have the little boat up here. And we all know that Niagara Falls is really, you know, connected with honeymooners and adventure and very nurturing kind of ideas. Very cool.
For sure. The next couple pieces are from a new photographer in our network named Frederick Durham. This one's called Tree of Life.
Very cool.
It's a cool angle. This is called Tree Sacks.
Oh, I see. They kind of go together. I get it.
Then we've got a couple pieces from Craig Ogden, who Craig and his wife, they own the shop on Logan Street called The Mix, just basically on the north side of Logan from Noble Coffee and Tea. And this one is called Spirit Fingers. He was our showcase artist in the month of February, I believe.
Yes.
And this one is called, this is another Craig Ogden, and it's called Today's Hope.
Love it.
Craig is prolific. I love it.
Yeah,
So
he told us he paints every day.
So this one's from Greg Adams, and these are birch bark frames. He says, the willow is by Greg Adams Birch Bark Frames. He has custom sizes. They're all handmade. He says, my picture frames are made from plywood rescued from the dumpster at a local furniture manufacturer. Likewise, the birch bark would also wind up in the landfill. The willow trim is scrap from large pieces.
Excellent. Another great interpretation of nature versus nurture. He's using these natural materials and nurturing them into a new life. I love it. I happen to know that he did not do that horse painting. That is a print of, I'm sure, a 19th century piece. But we've seen so much artwork. There's so many art pieces of artwork that look so good in his frames. We love it when our artists team up with him to get their stuff framed.
So these are some pine bird houses that Greg makes. He says that they are white pine bird houses with 2 coats of enamel for wren's house, finches, and bluebirds. Salvage drawer hardware to make a perch, easily hung from a screw or nail, handmade from recycled wood. He said, my birdhouses are also pine, and I have pulled from the dumpster, cutoffs that are thrown out because they're too small. I use drawer handles that I have taken from roadside trash. They are available in a range of colors. They are meant to take the elements and are painted with a flat lac undercoat, which gives them an antique weathered look. They have different size holes for bluebirds, wrens, or finches. They could easily be hung on a wall, fence post, or tree with the hole on the back. So not only are these really cool things that are practical art, salvaged art, but if you ever see someone with, maybe just some legs sticking out of a dumpster, it's probably Greg Adams salvaging some wood.
Yes. He is such a character, and yes, I totally believe all of that. I do have some breaking news, Curtis.
What's that?
I'm even going to stop sharing my screen for just a second.
Sure.
Jerry Lang has made a donation to Nickel Plate Arts while he's been watching our first Friday.
Oh my gosh, thanks, Jerry.
I want to take a moment to say thank you, Jerry. That's really, really incredibly generous of you, and it's going to help us do so many wonderful things. So everybody, give him major props in the chat section, because that's really amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
All right, back to our exhibit.
Back to the art. So we were just talking about Greg's pine tree birdhouses, and we're going to jump to some really cool photography from Leslie Ober. This one's called Bathtub Baby. And Leslie says, I just completed a series titled Growing Up Girl. I recently began sifting through thousands of photographs I've taken of my oldest daughter and was inspired to recreate a few of my favorite shots of her a decade later. As she approaches the tumultuous teen years, we were desperately holding on to the innocence and purity that is the magic of early childhood. She teeters between being that sweet, unknowing baby girl and a mature young lady who deals daily with a chronic, painful genetic condition. Those big blue eyes tell a story of a girl growing up, getting older, and going on despite life's trials.
Oh, that brings tears to my eyes. And
I wish somehow that we could share a version of these stories every first Friday. So we'll have to figure out how to do that. Because
some of our discussion about how COVID-19 is creating a new normal is, I think we will have much more of a virtual life for our exhibits, and this is such a wonderful way to do that. And boy, don't you want to hear more about Leslie's story here?
Yeah, so actually, Ailey, the next 2 pieces are from the same series called Growing Up Girl. This one is called Feeling Trapped. And again, it's an earlier picture of her daughter as a younger child, and then as she is growing up now. This one's called Feeling Trapped.
And that's, again, a cardboard box to a little kid really does mean something very different to a preteen or a teen. So wonderful.
And this one is called Flower Girl from the same series.
Wonderful. So we're going to have to get Leslie to do a showcase either here at one of our partner locations with this whole series. I love it.
For sure.
Okay.
Now going back to, these are a couple more pieces from Craig Ogden. This one's called Butterflies. If you can kind of look at that, you might make out a few butterflies. And I assure you that Craig, as he is painting his pieces, he doesn't necessarily intend to have butterflies or bodies or anything like that, but they end up being these happy accidents that sometimes he brings out as the painting goes on.
And I think Craig is a wonderful example. I think it's easy to give abstract art a bad rap sometimes. You know, it's the kind of thing where people say, oh, my kid could do that. First of all, Craig's art really shows that it's much harder than it looks because there's so many layers and it's so complex to get a good composition. But it also shows how your distinct style comes out even in abstract. Like I feel like I'm getting to the point where I could recognize
For
Craig.
sure. And Ogden. And this is
Yeah.
another Craig Ogden. It's called Rope Swing. It is an 8 by 10 inch acrylic on canvas piece.
Love it.
Next couple of pieces are from an artist named Jennifer Hudspeth. This one's called Rock on a Rope, and it is acrylic on a small canvas board. It's a miniature easel included for display. So this is actually really small. It's 2.5 by 3.5 inches.
Cool. I just kind of love that concept. There are days.
Don't we have a tiny art month coming up as well?
An exhibit coming up soon. Yeah. If Coda is still able to connect with us, maybe she can put that in the chat of when our tiny art show is coming up.
So the next two are also by Jennifer Hudspeth, and they're tiny pieces. This one's called Rocks on a Beach. And if you think about 2.5 by 3.5 inches, look at that detail that she was able to get into such a small canvas.
Yes. This also shows that online formats are the great equalizer because everything's the same size.
Exactly. And this one is still that smaller size, and this one's called Sunset Beach Rock Stack.
Very cool.
This is by one of our favorite artists, the reigning Nickel Plate Arts Emerging Artist of the Year, Krista Darrow. And this
Who was
one is
watching earlier. I bet she's still on here.
I hope she is. Say hi if you're still here, Krista. This one is called Friendships.
Just love it. I want to say, so this is funny. This connects to you and I, Curtis, because at home during isolation, Stuart and I have been going through all of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yes.
So Moose
and Squirrel.
right now, yes. And I happen to know you have a thing about tigers right now.
I have a thing about tigers, especially right now. This one's called Together by Krista Darrow, and I love it. It's 20 inches by 16 inches oil on canvas. And I have to admit that my wife, Carrie, and I are almost done. We have one episode left in Tiger King on Netflix. And I'll just say, okay, so first of all, Joe Exotic, he's from Oklahoma. He's from Wynnewood. And if y'all were thinking that WYNNEWOOD was Wynwood, you're wrong. It's Wynnewood. And I know the exit down I-35 from Norman, where I grew up. Anyway, so it's an Oklahoma story. And it's one of those things that lots of crazy stuff in there, mature audiences and all that. But in this time of social distancing and a global pandemic, it makes you feel a little bit better about your life, watching people whose lives are just bonkers. I'll just leave it at that. Tiger King. So this is not an endorsement from Nickel Plate Arts, but I saw this piece of Krista's back around Christmas time at a Fisher's Arts Council event, and I love it. She's got a really cool, distinct style.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's been so fun. We see this with a lot of artists in our network, but one of the reasons that Krista was selected as Emerging Artist of the Year was because her style is really evolving before our eyes. We're watching this very distinct, very personal art style come from her. And it's really neat. I mean, I feel like you can see a lot of influence from, whether intentionally or not, from the early 20th century, some Cubism influences, some Magritte, like maybe not Magritte, but some of those other guys working alongside Picasso. You can, the abstraction is working so well with her style. It's really
And so I'm looking at the chat right now. Go back to the Tigers real quick.
there we
Carrie's asking, she says she loves it. Are you planning to buy that one? And then Beth, who's our neighbor, says your wife wants some art. So let's mark that one sold. I saw it in person, and she almost talked me into buying it in December. Krista did, and so sold to the nerd in the glasses.
Excellent. And that's, you heard it here, folks. This art's going to go fast. So act now, because as happens usually at Nickel Plate Arts, the staff all snap.
Yeah, normally Ailey challenges me, and as long as she doesn't arm wrestle me, I have a chance of winning some of those arguments.
Yeah. Well, and it just Krista, made the right choice by a moose for me and a tiger for you. So
there you go.
yeah. So what do we have next?
This is another Paige Harper piece. It is, there's some flower dishes, and they're 2 inches, 3 inches, and 5 inches in diameter. You put all kinds of cool small stuff in there.
Yeah, look at how cool those organic forms are on those. Really neat. Oh, we know this piece.
This is from one of our studio artists in the Stevenson house, which is the greenhouse in which I'm sitting right now, Penny Roberson, and it is called Stalks, and it is a 30 by 30 inch painting, and she does a wonderful job in oil paint.
Another Penny Roberson here.
Another Penny Roberson, and this one is called The Watered Garden. And it's colorful without being super bright. I've seen it in person, and it's just a nice way to add color without it. It's not loud, but it is colorful, and it.
I think one of the ways she achieved that is because she's using a lot of complementary colors here, you know, reds and greens that are normally opposites, that helps tone down that brightness of it a little. Excellent.
So if you want to move on to the next one, this is Karen Miles' piece. And again, it's much bigger than that, I promise. It's 30 by 24. And Karen Miles, it's called Sunweeds. She says, maybe the juxtaposition of wild weeds and the nurturing sun is exactly in tune with the moment. There is beauty in letting go. We can feel the sun on our faces and let new ideas in.
Love it. We miss Karen. She used to be a studio artist with us, and she was just really wonderful. What do we got next? This is
Alyssa Overton. The next few are, and this is an 8 by 10 piece called Breath.
Love it.
This is another Alyssa Overton, and it is called Colored People. And it says, we are the human race, valuable, cherished, and equal.
Very cool. Very
nice
deep.
Piece. This one's called Outback, and I'll give you one guess why.
I'm guessing because it's Australian in nature.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because she's got a pet kangaroo in her backyard.
Yeah.
But the Australia thing makes a lot more sense.
Leave it to Curtis to have a good joke on hand.
Keeping it light, people. Okay, this is Alyssa Overton, and it is called Remember. It's another 8 by 10 piece.
I love her.
Lovely.
The natural edges here on this really make it unique.
We're going to come to some of Fred Green's pieces. This one is called Autumn Pattern, and he says, beauty is at your feet. I've been carrying this around in my mind and on my phone for half a decade. I'm really enjoying investigating pattern in nature from an evening wedding at the end of the road in southern Indiana.
Very cool. Lovely.
This one is called Common Ground. You can kind of make out footprints there. He says, this work, Common Ground, is inspired by a couple of things. My daughter, an administrator and teacher at an IPS International Baccalaureate School in Indianapolis, administered and oversaw an art installation and dance program, for her K-8 school. The art piece was an installation of a laser-cut plywood cube of a somewhat Middle Eastern pattern.
Really neat.
He says his piece also speaks to the intersection of the human condition, variety of people, and the elements of similarities. Obviously, a collection of footprints in the snow, documenting the natural and common act of people interacting and coming together.
Very cool. Well, I think we're going to do 2 more pieces because I know that Leah Leach from Gal's Guide to the Galaxy has joined us. And so at 7:30, which is really just a minute from now.
I can wait.
Leah, how are you?
I'm good, but I can totally wait. I love looking at the art.
So we've got 3 more pieces from Fred, and then let's jump to Leah, shall we?
Yeah.
Good. So remind us the title of this one again, Curtis.
That is called Common Ground.
I love it. It's so neat.
This is another Fred Green piece. He says, and it's 24 by 36, recalling 2 Septembers ago, fly fishing on the Snake River in Idaho with a good friend.
Love it. Wonderful.
I love that. I love that color of the water there.
Yeah.
This one is called Wedding Veil. He says, this is inspired by a park in the Bronx, Van Cortlandt Park, which was the backdrop of Matt Cifaldi and Laura Barker's beautiful wedding in 2018.
Very cool.
Wedding Veil.
And this clearly has some Monet inspiration to it there.
Absolutely.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm going to stop here, and we're going to come back to this exhibit when we have time. That was our whole plan. You know, a normal first Friday, we switch back and forth between music and guest stars and everything else. And so we have a guest star with us now. Hi, Leah.
Hello, hello.
So you are our most recent studio artist.
Brand new. Yes. Gals Guide is totally brand new.
And it felt so star-crossed to have you join us at this time of year, or join us when you did, because March was Women's History Month, and you've got this amazing, the first women's history library in the nation, in the world, right?
Yes. Right. Well, no, actually in America, there is a lending library dedicated to women's history in Scotland. That is our role model. That is who we are trying to grow up to be one day. We love them.
Look up to them. That's always good. Very cool. Well, so what do you have for us today, Leah?
Well, we do a research theme, actually, because for a couple of years we were online only. So we were kind of used to this, but at the same time, we were really ready to be like out open to the public lending library. We were very excited. We're like, okay, when all this happened, we know how to do this. But we have a research theme every month, and we do that so it keeps our collection diverse of women's history books. We also have 2 different podcasts as well, so it keeps our content really kind of unique, and we kind of try to push and explore all the different types of gals who are in our galaxy, hence our name. So, right?
So that's just perfect.
Yes.
Well, the galaxy where the answer to the meaning of life is 42, of course.
Yeah.
42, of course.
Leah, can you tell us quickly the titles of your podcasts and kind of a synopsis of each and how people can find them?
Sure. The main show that we do is the Gals Guide podcast. We have a group of 4 gal pals who get together. We are pretty drunk, and we each share a adorable women's history story. So we have our theme. This month is funny gals. So each of our gals have brought to the table only one cool funny gal that they chose. Very hard to choose, by the way. And they kind of tell us their history. And because we're drunk, it's not a thesis statement. It's very, it's very fun. Not all of it may be actually accurate. That's why we have show notes. That's where we can do corrections. But then we also have another podcast called Your Gal Friday, and that is our student-friendly show. And that one is more of a thesis statement. That is the beginning, middle, and end, if there is an end, or in progress legacy that a gal is working towards. And we have many, many different gals that we have covered in both of the shows. So they're both really entertaining to listen to as well, especially if you're kind of, stuck inside or at work by yourself. You know what I mean? A
Great time to
podcast is
listen
really
to a
fun to
podcast,
listen to.
for sure.
Yeah, it's like kind of like listening to, some nice gal pals tell you a story. So we're very story based.
Very cool. Excellent.
Yes.
And I think you guys are going, sorry, you girls, gals, sorry.
All of it. Yes.
You all are going to be taking over our Facebook Live feed sometime next week to do some cross stitching.
Yes, it is. In the Waybacks, we did cross stitching, and I do a lot of portraits of women of history. I just finished, I don't have it on me. I just finished a Frida Kahlo one, and I've also done a Cleopatra one and a Rosie the Riveter. So I thought, well, hey, cross stitching it's really fun, especially if you're a little bit frustrated because you can stab something 10,000 times and it's legal. So I like it. I've been doing a lot of Netflix and stitching is kind of, how I kind of decompress from a day.
Netflix and stab.
Yeah.
Netflix and stab.
Yeah.
That can mean different things depending on the show you're watching.
Fair.
So we've established that you guys are drinkers and you're stabbers.
Yes.
You're
Yes, exactly. We're tons of fun. And the meaning of life is 42. Yes.
Yeah.
We are harmless fun.
Amazing.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit, like, if this whole COVID-19 thing weren't happening, what would normal operations for the library be?
Normal operations is we are open the same hours as Nickel Plate. So we are Wednesday through Saturday, and we are a full free lending library. We have over 1,800 books in our collection. All of them are either written by a woman or about a woman of history, a wide variety of stuff. And because we have a research theme every month, we even pull collections together. I grabbed some with me because we are doing Funny Gals this month. Books like, anybody love Gilda Radner?
This is so
Remember
funny.
Gilda Radner?
I love Gilda Radner, and Stuart does not. So when we watch
Oh,
Saturday Night Live, he's like, "Oh, can we skip this one?" I'm like, "No."
well, you will love this because she is actually going to be my girl Bonnie's one cool gal this month will be Gilda Radner. So she will cover her glorious life and legacy. Anybody Ellen DeGeneres fan? Maybe,
Oh yeah.
possibly. This is actually one of my favorite funny books. It's called My Point, and I really do have one. It was one of the first comedy books that I read, and this book is pretty much a stand-up routine in book form. She talks about getting her dogs ready for an Iditarod race. She has a Chihuahua, I think a Dachshund, not dog, and she's in California at the time, getting them ready to,
Well,
to do the Iditarod.
they'd be great at pulling a fairy sled, which we've already.
Correct.
It's a fairy themed evening, so
That would have been much easier on her ducks, but it wasn't. But we have 3 of Ellen's books, and most of them, like I said, are stand-up routines. So they are a super quick read, and they're really, really fun. And I adore them. One of my favorite gals, because I got a movie background and my name is Leah, and it's not Leia, it's Carrie Fisher, the Princess Diarist. We have both of Carrie Fisher's glorious books where she talks about kind of how the Star Wars movies ruined her life and bettered her life, which is kind of like, if you grow up named Leah, then it does the same thing to you.
I'm sure that is true.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. I like your background.
Just
Look at
happen to
that.
be on a different planet right now, but
Exactly.
Star
Well, it
Wars
is the way.
big in my house, especially with Miles right now. We've mixed Star Wars and Legos at our house in the last couple weeks, and it is a big deal.
Yes.
I do have on my list to figure out how to do a Baby Yoda cross stitch.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I could have something like that ready for the tutorial one of these days.
That would be super popular.
It can be done. So
yes. In our chat stream here, Katie Harris says she loves your podcasts. So
thank you, Katie.
Also, Coda said Netflix and Stitch is the new trend.
Yeah, there we go.
Not a bad idea.
We're gonna bring that up. It's really fun. Especially, I hate to say it, something like maybe your husband's watching something and you're really not that into it.
Yes. Right.
Well, you know what he's not
really
watching right
because...
now? He's not watching sports.
No.
So you might be able to agree a little bit on what to watch.
But he's also been crying a lot. So no sports and no Eurovision. He's a very big Eurovision fan.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of the Eurovision Song Contest?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Eurovision. Yep. It's
yeah.
What could the world need more right now than like the universal feel good musical song of the year?
Right. Exactly. But some of those songs, what?
It really does prove that although it is a small world, we still have a lot of differences. So
yes, exactly.
Around the world.
I think even within the country that the songs are representing, the whole country is going, what?
Totally.
So Leah, you're saying that the theme for the month of April is My Funny Gal. Is that what you said?
Just funny gals. So whether they're
gals.
comedians or writers or toothless grandmas, the toothless grandmas, actually shout out to Moms Mabley. Moms Mabley was probably the first ever stand-up comedian, but she doesn't get credit for it because she's an African-American gal. And she is hilarious. And we actually have a podcast episode dedicated to her and to her talents. And She's lovely.
Did you know that she is portrayed in I think the most recent season in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on
Yes.
Amazon?
I screamed so loud that I believe Wanda Sykes heard me. I was so happy. Wanda Sykes was the perfect person to play Mom's Mabley in, today's day and age. I was over the moon, just absolutely stoked. I want more of the character in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Absolutely.
More
Now,
of it.
Leah, if you were to invite me onto the podcast, I would bring.
Yes. I don't feel like this is at all a ruse to get you on the
No, not at all. No, I'm just throwing out another title that I happen to
Yes, yes.
appreciate. Bossy
Yeah.
Pants by Tina Fey. Because
have
when
that.
when I grow up, I
Yes.
want to be Tina Fey.
There you go. Perfect. We have two
Yeah.
books on Tina Fey. We have Bossy Pants, and we also have a kids book. There's a lot of really cute biographies for younger readers about women of history. So we have a Tina Fey book for little ones too. Yeah.
I did also. We have been doing some organizing and cleaning at our house, and we got a big stack of books that fit into the Gals Guide category, and
Yes, yes.
I dropped them off in your drop-off receptacle on the porch
That was
yesterday.
you. We put a shout out on social media and we said thank you for whoever donated. We have no idea of who it was. So we
Yep, that
have a
was us.
photo of your beautiful donations. Thank you. Super grateful. They are checked into the system. People can, when we're back open, check them out.
Yeah.
Cool. I was careful not to touch them too much,
Yeah.
Same when we got them. Same.
And they're saying that porous materials are a little safer. So as long as
They
you
are.
didn't lick them, and then if Leah didn't lick them, I think we're
Correct. It's really hard to get me to not. No, I'm kidding.
devour a good book.
How many times every day they're like, please, Leah, stop licking the book. No, never. No.
Yes. Well, we have a community of everybody here.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I love books, but I don't restraint sometimes.
Excellent. Is there anything else we need to know about what your future plans are, what you guys are working on at the moment, how people can get involved with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to, we have a Facebook page as well. I'm sure you guys are totally linking it down there. It's really easy to find us at Gals Guide to the Galaxy. Exactly. I know you're like a little kitten. But at galsguide.org, we actually have on our homepage, we have a category about social distancing. So we have crafts that we have done in the past, podcast episodes that we think would be super interesting, even book lists. And we even worked with places for ebooks. So we have in our plans, because we have a glorious 5-year plan, to eventually have a interlibrary loan and as well to have online materials. We weren't there yet because we just opened in March, but we worked with a company and we do have access to ebooks on our site. So that way you can find a plethora of materials, and we even curated them. We went through the list that they have available and went through what are the women's history books that are available on the site, because it does get overwhelming looking at like thousands of books. So we even curated some of them to give you examples of awesome ones you could at least start with. You know what I mean? Like start with something and then explore. I think Curtis is probably going upstairs right now to check out the space.
I think
I even see Tina Fey's Bossy Pants.
Exactly. That is
Check it out,
our
y'all.
Funny Gals display. Yes.
So I am in the Gals Guide library, and I don't know if there are more light switches.
No, we just have the one.
Having work in that office, I can say the lighting is not ideal.
So I'm reading a book right now, speaking of books, called The Last Librarian, and it's like one of those dystopian future.
Yes.
It's really good.
Oh, good.
I don't know who writes it. It's not. I don't think it's by a woman or about a woman, but there are some female characters.
It's not, but it's still a good book, though. That's the thing. We have to draw the line somewhere. I mean, our space is only so big.
Yeah.
Now, what does this say?
Even though our space is only so big, we always have a spot for your book. So we keep a space in the library for if a book is written about you or if you are writing a book, we always have a space for you. So yeah.
Now, Leah, once we get back to the land of the living, and we are doing things business as usual or whatever that is.
In the in-persons, yes.
Yeah. How can people join? Can they join your library? Can they get a library card? What's the deal?
We don't do a physical library card because even in this day and age, nobody wants another thing to carry in their wallet or purse.
That's
So we
true.
do everything digitally. You can sign up today on our website and you are set up for a library membership. That way, as soon as we open, you are good to go. You can come in. Because we're small and because we're digital, you come in, you tell us your name, we're going to find you. You check out a book. It's really, really simple. We are guides. That's why we're Gal's Guide. And so we can even help you find a book and start. We call them rabbit holes. You start with somebody, you see all the different names that they interacted with, and then you go and learn about that person and that person and that person. You just keep learning. We call it serendipitous learning.
Well, and as you can see, I'm kind of just pivoting, as Ross Geller would say, so that you can see all the books. Pivot. How many titles do you all have in your collection? And also, part two of the question is, how do you categorize your books? How do you organize them? Because it's not by color like we do in our house, because we're artsy fartsy people.
We have over 1,800 books right now, and we get donations all the time. Like Curtis drops them off, and then we don't know who they're from. But we have over 1,800 books, and we are actually beta testing our own cataloging system. The shelf that Curtis is in front of right now is our biographies. We don't separate them by like science or different categories, science, film, arts, things like that. We alphabetize them by a gal's first name. And the reason why is because women tend to lose their last name either when they get married or when they take over a small country.
There you go.
They tend to add on more accumulation of last names. And so we alphabetize them by their first name, also as a reason to be on a first name basis with these gals. And if you're not sure where to start in our library, come to the biographies, look for a gal with either your name or the start of your first letter of your name.
So
and just
for instance,
see who's interesting.
If your name's Jane,
you got lots of Janes.
Jane Austen, you got Jane Fonda, you got Jane Goodall.
Whose
Jane
birthday
Hawkins.
is today, by the way? Jane Goodall's birthday is today.
Wow.
And then you go from Jane to Jill.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm seeing only last names on the spines right now. Janet.
Yeah, that does happen.
Janet Jackson. Jeanette. So I was in the J's clearly.
Yes, exactly. Look at that.
Alphabetized by first name. I think that's so cool.
Yes. It's really, really fun. And we do also have, we call it life skills instead of self-help. In life skills, you can find different things for work, for life, for crafting, for anything in between. And we also did just get a serious amount of donations of art books. So we are going to have an art category because we are in an art space. We are in Nickel Plate Arts. And believe it or not, we have some autographed Judy Chicago books that came in, some really rare Judy Chicago stuff that came in that I'm just over the moon.
Yeah, that's super
delighted by.
I remember the day you got those because you were just glowing.
I was so happy. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, for people who don't know, can you tell us just a tiny bit about Judy Chicago?
Judy Chicago she's an experimental artist. She does interactive art and she does art on display. And she did called The Dinner Party that showcased women of history if they all sat together at a dinner party table. And Bonnie, who works at Gal's Guide, she is an artist herself. She went and saw that exhibit in Chicago. I'm pretty sure it was Chicago. And she said when she saw that, there were all these women, she didn't know who they were. And she's like, I'm ashamed of that. I need to know who every single one of these women are. I need to study more women of history. And she now makes paintings of women artists. Of women of history. So so Judy Chicago is extremely inspirational to many.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, and thank you, Curtis, for giving us the visual tour there while
yes.
Leah keeps us up to date.
You bet. I might stay a while and read tonight.
Yeah.
We have lots of fun stuff. You still need to get an account, my friend. So sign up for a membership. It's free.
I do. Okay, I will. Chill out.
Yeah. It's your job, Curtis.
It's too fun. Yes, I think I think I have like 20 books checked out right now. I'm trying to get through. I'm like, okay, I need to read a lot of these because I do want to be able to recommend them, and give an honest feedback. Like, you know what? Maybe this other one.
Yeah.
Or this one's good, but maybe for just a bit.
Check out your own book for too long. Do you fine yourself or what's up with that?
We do. It's a 25-cent fine. We're really not picky about it. And right now, for everybody that does have books that are checked out, they're good until I think we have May 1st right now, and we'll probably extend it as well. So
I
we're
was
not
gonna
doing
say, you could be
any late
making a
fees
lot of
during
money right
any of
now.
this. No. We gladly take donations, but we don't need to get it in late fees. Late fees
There you
are
go.
only so books come back. That's the accountability.
That's awesome. I am
Yes.
currently reading a book called Catherine, which is about Catherine Swinford or Catherine Desrouet, who she eventually married John of Gaunt, the Duke of Lancaster.
Oh, see, that's why she has so many last names. See what I'm
Right,
saying?
yes.
Like, yeah, so Catherine.
But it is, so on the one hand, she's like, a lot of times women are invisible in history, especially further back in time you go, but she really broke the mold in a lot of ways. So it's a neat story. It's a little bit on the historical romance side, but
Right, happens.
in it. But my mistake was like half of the plot is driven by the plague, and I started that section the day the quarantine was called, and I was like,
Too soon.
what am I doing?
I know, right? I know. History repeats itself, and that is why history is still relevant.
Yes. Excellent. Well, thank you, Leah. I think we're going to move on to talk about Noble Maid. You're welcome to stay with us, or
yes,
work on your, enjoy this gorgeous evening that we're still having outside.
I know exactly.
Bye, library.
I'm probably going to go have dinner.
Okay. Oh yeah. Enjoy that.
I forgot to plan ahead and have dinner beforehand, so I'm like, I'll probably go have some dinner, and then maybe I will crust it some more.
Okay, can you work carrots and hummus into your dinner, because that's normal?
Absolutely.
For
that's what I have every night.
Yes. Awesome. Well, bye. Thank you so much.
You guys have an awesome night.
Thanks, Leah.
Bye, guys.
Bye. So I want to make sure that we give a little bit of a plug to Noble Maid this evening. So I'm going to share my screen again. And if I can find it, hold on. You're going to see, okay, I'm going to actually use words now. Hold on just a second. But Noble Maid is still in action, even though we're in the middle of quarantine. Noble Maid, of course, I think at this point we have well over 50 contributors to Noble Maid. For those of you who don't know, Noble Maid was started last year, just over a year ago. We had a naming contest and decided that this Noblesville themed gift shop that features items made in Noblesville, made about Noblesville, made by Noblesville artists should be called Noble Maid. And we've had a year under our belts now. The quarantine went into place just after our first anniversary, and we saw all that coming and weren't able to have a big 1-year celebration for Noble Maid. But the online store, which Coda or JC will be able to provide the link for here momentarily, if they haven't already, Noble Maid features amazing pieces of all kinds. And right now we want to show you, first of all, just like you can support restaurants and things right now by getting a gift card, you can also support Noble Maid and all the artists who contribute by getting a gift card that you can use in the future. You can, get a jump on your Christmas shopping even.
Did I see those masks there, Ailey?
What's that?
Did I see those masks that we were talking about earlier?
Yes, and I was just getting to that. Thank you. So masks by Margaret Smith and Jeanette Parsi. You might be able to recognize Jeanette behind her mask there. She's our Monday night drawing instructor and our oil painting instructor. But those are there and available. We will ship those to you. And we mentioned Caravan Classes earlier. They've got their pop art heart kits with us right now. And we can get those out to you as well. Just wanted to make sure that you scroll through Noble Maid. They're great gifts right now that you could send to people who maybe you can't visit in person. If you've never tried one of these candles from Taste Dreamers, oh my gosh, Taylor Ashcraft just did such a wonderful job.
They smell great and they burn for a really long time. Even the smaller ones, they burn for hours.
It's true. And they have these great, like, you know, she's tailored them for if you're a Pisces or if you're a Leo. And there are a couple other themes that she has in there. So those are great. If you want to give some gifts to somebody's dog who is benefiting from quarantine right now. I know my dog is very happy about us being home all the time, but Pet Wants has some great organic handmade treats for you. And then everybody in Noblesville, I think, is probably familiar with Gabriel Lehman, who grew up here. He lived here. He recently moved to Brown County, which I guess we can share him with them. That's okay. But he's got some beautiful prints available through us right now, too. Again, these just make incredible gifts to send somebody to let them know you're thinking of them. And, you know, what a deal to get a Gabriel Lehman print of, I love this patchwork elephant, that, you know, for $15 and a little bit of shipping, and we can get it to somebody you love. So if you're shopping at Noble Made, make sure you scroll through lots of items from Art Mix, and those are Art Mix. One of our favorite neighbors, Emily Compton, works at Art Mix with all the differently abled artists, artists of all different skill levels, age levels. They're at Art Mix, and you've got such cute things. Carrie Rushopt, who I know is watching. I think I'm about to get to your pieces somewhere here. We've got beautiful pottery from several different folks here in town. Those of you who know me know I am kind of a sucker for anything with a Pennsylvania German influence, which is why I really like Jeff Davis's art, but it's also why some of Heather Garrison's pieces really appeal to me. And I just want to make sure I go far enough to see Carrie's stuff, since I know she was paying attention earlier. Under the Glaze, if you aren't familiar with them, they're a wonderful local team of potters who have beautiful items. I'm going to keep going. Margaret Smith, who made the
There's Carrie's stuff
that we saw before, she's got some other neat items in here. And here's Carrie's things. I just think Carrie's technique is so neat. It's pyrography, so she's burned these images onto wood, or and then uses colored pencils and other medium to color them in. And how cute are those? So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but just a reminder that Noble Made is there. Again, if we have folks who are willing to work with us and who really want to support local, the more sales we can get through Noble Made, the more we can do. And right now we've furloughed our staff there. And if we get folks to support the Noble Made effort, we can pull those staff back in and get their help to coordinate things like public art projects around town. So just a good shout out there. Now we have another guest with us here. Megan Jefferson has joined us. How are you, Megan?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Good, very well. So this is our first whole attempt at a Facebook Live Zoom first Friday, and so far we're over halfway through, and I'd say, Curtis, going pretty well, right?
Yeah, I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
We talked to a fairy. We had some, magic issues, but once we got that locked in, we were good. And then we talked to Tom from Fisher's Arts Council, and then we got to talk to Leah from the Gals Guide library, and we even got to see some of the books and hear about their the Gals Guide podcasts. So now we're talking to Megan, and I believe we're also going to talk to Becky about some cool public art at the Gordon Marketing Building, the former Key Bank building on the square in downtown Noblesville.
Yeah, and hopefully Darren Ratcliffe, who owns Noblesville Premium Properties, who's been heading up this project, will join us too. But Megan and Becky, I've been working with you guys for like close to 2 months now, I think, as we have been figuring this project out. Megan, since you joined us first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What have you got going on?
Yeah, my name's Megan Jefferson, and I am a painter. So I'm an oil painter, and I also am a muralist. So I've been doing murals for about 6 years now. And I just love working big. To see the outcome of my work on buildings and in public spaces is just such a joy. I'm really inspired in my own work with landscapes, skies, beautiful clouds, all of the colors. I grew up in a small rural town in northwestern Ohio that geographically is a lot like Indiana. And so to be a part of this project and get to be inspired by the rural landscape of Indiana is a real pleasure. I've been working on 2 different panels. One is behind me, and it is inspired by sunflower fields in rural Noblesville.
Awesome. That is so cool. And that's what's behind you, right?
Yep,
Excellent.
exactly.
Really neat. Okay, Becky, same questions to you. Make sure you turn on your, there you go. Tell us a little bit about you and about your career and involvement with this project.
Well, I'm Becky Hochhalter. I'm a Terre Haute artist, actually, and I've been doing freelance art for about almost 10 years now. And I had a career in graphic arts before that for about 25 years. So this is my career number 2, and I love every minute of it. This panel behind me is one of 4 that I'm doing, or 3, sorry, that I'm doing for Noblesville. I do a lot of murals. I've done a lot of very large murals. So it's kind of fun to work a little bit in a more manageable size on these 3 panels. But as you can see, the 3 panels that I'm doing, I'm kind of looking at water recreation in the Noblesville area. So this one represents the White River and kayaking on the White River. And if you look, you can see the skyline of Noblesville kind of peeking over the trees here in the background. So trying to do really vibrant colors and something that's really going to view well from a distance, because these panels will be up on the building, so you'll be seeing them from a good distance. So having bright colors and a simple design will help. And the other 2 panels, I don't know if you can share some of that or not, or are going to share those designs, but mine are all kind of water themed around Noblesville.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll get to those in a second, but I want to introduce Darren Ratcliffe, who just joined us as well. And Darren, it looks like you are on location at the building.
I am.
Very cool. So we've had both Megan and Becky tell us a little bit about themselves and their career. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your relationship to the building behind you?
Sure. So as you can see behind me is the building at the corner of 9th and Logan that we acquired last fall. And you can see in between the windows in the bottom main level and the top level, there's a bunch of panels on both sides of the building. You can't really see the other side, but we just decided we wanted to add a little bit of urban modern flair to downtown. The city's kind of coming out of its shell, I think, a little bit, at least before the health crisis hit, which we'll get through. But it was our vision to add a little bit of art to downtown, and we're real excited about working with these wonderful artists.
Excellent. Oh, and you've got very authentic Noblesville with the chime happening right now. Nice timing.
Right.
Very cool. So I'm going to pull our gallery view back here. I know as we were working on this project together, there was a lot of exploration of what themes would be appropriate for Noblesville. So Becky talked a little bit about her water themes. And I know, Becky, water has really come out in your work before, right?
Yeah, I've done a lot of pieces that are including nature. I do, like Megan, I'm really drawn to the natural themes, and I've got a large mural in Spencer, Indiana, that is about the My Path Trail system along McCormick's Creek. So it includes an image kind of the creek flowing through it with what you would see along that creek as far as flora and fauna. So a lot of my pieces have to do with nature, and that's just really what I am drawn to.
Excellent. I'm trying to find that so I can pull it up for everybody. I'm going to cheat for a second and show the piece of yours, Becky, that I really loved. This is, I think, not a mural, but a piece of art that I saw in the Ileana gallery in Terre Haute.
Oh yes, this is a piece that I did for the Red exhibition at Arts Ileana here in Terre Haute, and it has to do actually with the Wabash River. The Wabash River runs through Terre Haute, so you know, we have river running through our veins too. So this has to do with the invasive Asian carp that are in the Wabash River, and kind of you know, the Wabash is represented as the female form in the water, kind of fighting the fish, and then the eagle is kind of coming in to save the day, catching the carp out of the river.
Love it. How cool. And you mentioned some of your other concept designs. So let me see if I can pull those up quickly too. Some fishing here, right? And let me see, and we'll pull up sailboats as well. So those are some other concepts that we should see on that wall soon. As Darren pointed out, these are going to be really, really bright and colorful. And I think we're starting to see that urban flair influence that he was talking about as well.
Well, I've got a question for Darren while he's on.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Darren, since you all bought the building, what do you hope to see as far as types of businesses, or what do you hope goes into the Gordon building?
So, excuse me, the second story is office space. It's almost 6,000 square feet of office space, and we are talking to prospects now. There's a lot of space still available. Law offices, I think, are a big target, since there's plenty all over the county, and instead of driving 10 to 15 minutes to get to the courthouse and fight for parking, they can walk a block away. The main level, our vision is a restaurant. That's a little tough market right now with what's happened. So I would say generally that's been delayed a little bit, but that remains our vision, is to put a restaurant on the main level. We have 40 parking spaces behind the building, and it's a beautiful building. It's a great location, and that's our plan right now.
Sure, and I know that you all have information not only about the building, these art murals that are going to be installed soon, but also about leasing information. You have a website for the building. What is the location of that?
Right, it's thegordonbuilding.com.
Great. So people can go to.
There's information there on the building, historical information on the building, how to get in touch with us if anybody's interested in discussing space. The upstairs will be done in roughly 2 weeks.
Cool.
Excellent. Megan, I'd like to turn to you again. And I know you've done some really neat community-oriented projects, especially in Indianapolis. Can you tell us about some of the previous work you've done?
Yeah, I started working with a nonprofit here in Indianapolis called the Department of Public Words. And our aim was to spread positive messages through art and education. And so while I worked there, I was the grants director. And then since I'm an artist, I was drawn to creating a lot of projects that involved murals that were in my neighborhood, specifically because I found funding that could support those. So we started there. We started small, and then we got bigger and bigger. One of the projects that we've done that so many people are familiar with is the Love Train, and that goes from 56th Street to 54th Street on the Monon Trail. And it's over 1,000 feet in length. And we worked with an artist, Pete Walliger, out. He lives in St. Louis. And then we also invited community members to help paint the mural with us. And so we worked with over 300 community members to create that piece. We also have created about 10 other murals in the city. So we've worked with organizations like TeenWorks, and then private corporations, different neighborhoods and communities to create all of these community-based murals. From there, I just started creating my own murals in private residential homes, and then also with different organizations and corporations. I have a good friend who is also an artist. Her name is Jamie Locke, and she and I started the initiative of Indie Angel Wings, which people may or may not be familiar with, but we create angel wings that people can get their photograph taken in front of. And that's been a really interesting project and a beautiful project too, spreading positivity throughout the city.
That's great. I'm going to share my screen for a second and show two of those images. I think this is Indie Angel Wings here, so maybe people will recognize that piece. And then I know this is the piece that really, hold on, I'm learning things. Here we go. This is the piece that I know really inspired Darren and his team when we were looking at all of the options from folks. So I want to make sure that Darren can talk to us again. There we go. So can you tell us just a little bit about the background of the mural with the historic photo in it?
Sure. Yeah, that was a really interesting project, one that I was really happy to be a part of. I designed that piece, and then we worked with the neighborhood and also the Arts Council to complete it. And so I was doing a lot of historical research on that area. It's located at 9th and Penn downtown, right near the Central Library. And one of the things that I was struck by was the shape of the roof is in the shape of an open book. And so that directly related to the library that's right across the street. And then right on the corner where this building is now located was the home of Pink Cathcart. And she is the person represented in the middle. So Pink and her family owned the home there, and she lived in Indianapolis at the turn of the century. And she wrote a book talking about how Indianapolis life was back then. And it's fascinating. I encourage everybody to take a look at that book and read it. It's so amazing to hear stories about how Indianapolis was in the 1900s. She was an amazing, inspiring woman, and she drew a map, and that map included images of the neighborhood and how it changed. And she sent that letter to her cousin. And in the letter, she said, "The drawing is far from perfect." So we included those words falling out of the book from the top of the building to encourage people to think about drawing. Even if you're not an artist, we wanted to encourage people to try, because the drawing doesn't have to be perfect. It's just fun to doodle and draw and convey a message just like she did. So that's kind of the gist of that mural.
Excellent, really cool. Great background, all of you. Becky, I wanted to make sure that you saw in our chat comments right now, Matthew Vall apparently is very familiar with your work and says that you've done a lot of great projects here in Terre Haute. So
awesome. Thanks for following, Matt. And I wanted to just say what Megan said about the drawing is far from perfect. I love that right now, because art is good therapy. So, just make art. It doesn't have to be good. You just need to be creating something just for therapy right now. So I think that's a great message.
Yeah, see, that's why we invite you guys to come and do things with us, because you just made the perfect statement for our evening. So I know you guys are clearly working on finishing these up right now. I may be able to do a screen share here. Give me just a second, because there are two other artists who have been working on this project. Nakota Witskin, who of course is also a staff member at Nickel Plate Arts, and Travis Neal, who local Noblesville people might know from the train mural under the bridge by Forest Park, as well as he's got a, in Fishers, he had one of the electrical boxes of the cat looking in the aquarium. And both of them have beautiful pieces too. I referenced Coda's earlier. But
Coda actually dropped hers into our Slack admin channel.
Yes.
Ailey, if you want to grab those.
I'm going to pull one of each up here in just a second, if I can figure out which buttons to push.
Cool.
And so Darren's already told us, we're working towards the unveil date, but we know we want to have a big community party when that's happening, right, Darren?
Right. It's a little bit hard to nail down a date right now, because nobody really knows what to expect. I would anticipate it's probably, if I had to guess, going to be in the early to middle part of May at this point.
Gotcha. Excellent. So I've just shared, we saw Travis Neal's piece, which is in homage to the Music Center formerly known as Deer Creek, currently Ruoff Home Mortgage Center, right? And then now I'm sharing Coda's concept of her colorful puppy driving a historic vehicle. So, and there, Darren, help me out. Are there 13 panels in all?
There's 12. There's 5 on the south side of the building, and that would make 7 on the west side of the building. So
Yeah.
12 total.
12 total. So there are definitely some images we haven't seen. We want people to stay tuned.
Right.
Megan and Becky will make sure that we have links to your websites and your work as well, so that people can find out more about you. Anybody want to make a final statement before you head out for your evenings this evening?
Well, I'll say real quick, it was so nice out that I decided to come downtown versus sit in my office, which would have been boring. But we're just really excited and honored to work with all 4 of these great artists and partnering with the Nickel Plate Arts group. And thank you for all of you and your hard work.
Awesome. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks, Darren.
Yeah.
Nice way to go out. So thank you all. Have a great evening. We will
Thank you.
talk to you soon, and we'll keep everybody updated when your artwork goes up.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, Curtis.
So
Yeah.
Ailey, we just saw the concept of Coda's piece, and I wanted to show you actually, this is what it actually looks like right now. So remember, we just saw the car with the colorful puppy, and here is how it is turning out, along with, there's another one, and I believe she may have used her very own dog named Potato as the model for that panel.
I think that's right. That's excellent. Really good. Yeah, and you know, how cool, it really does mean a lot to us that the folks at Noblesville Premium Properties and Gordon Marketing were willing to invest in downtown Noblesville. They really, you know, we all know businesses don't have to do that. Businesses don't have to value art, but we are so glad that they have, and that they are seeing this as an opportunity to leave a mark on town too. So again, just major props to them. Anyone who has a building or area that they would like to include public art, feel free to reach out to us through our website, nickelplatearts.org, or you can email me at amcgill@nickelplatearts.org, because we can help you with your projects. We can help you create a call out for artists. We can help get those call outs reviewed, not only by your team, but by other arts experts who can help make sure that it's not, that, you know, it really meets your goals and that it's going to please the community. And then we can help you work with the artists all the way along to make sure that those artists get what they need. You know, we have worked with artists many times. Sometimes people are a little intimidated by that. And so let us help you make our community even more beautiful.
And we've done this a few places in Fishers and a few places in Noblesville. It's something that we think we're getting good at as far as acting as a liaison with public art, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so far we haven't had many complaints, so that's nice. But also, we think there are rumors that the town of Cicero may be moving forward with some mural projects. And we know that our dear friend, Sarah Buckner, who is a resident of Cicero, she's going to be working with us to hopefully maybe make mermaids a theme of downtown Cicero through art. And then the city of Arcadia, hopefully, if they can get a grant, will also be working on some mural projects going forward. You know, we are looking to support all the towns along the Nickel Plate rail line in Hamilton County. And so those northern.
So does that start with Atlanta at the top, or is Arcadia at the top? So we have Atlanta, Arcadia, Cicero, Noblesville, Fishers.
Yep.
Those are the communities that we serve at Nickel Plate Arts, right?
That's right. And then
boom.
Exactly. Very good. Good geography lesson, Curtis. I hope kids who are out of school were paying attention. It's good.
Yep.
So we actually do have our final guest star here, but before I turn things over to him, because he's looking at artwork next to me right now, I want to make sure we get back to the exhibit and do a few more looks at the exhibit.
For
Curtis,
sure.
I'm going to give you a heads up. I think I can switch over to my phone, but I may need some camera help when it's time to turn to our final guest here.
Yeah, I can help from a safe social distance for sure.
Yeah. But let's, before you come over here, because I need you to read the script as well. So let me see if I can
Yep.
Get the exhibits back, and we'll jump back into those. Reminder, if you're watching us, please let us know you're there. Please hit the comments. We so miss everybody. Like, I can't say that enough. I miss seeing your faces. I miss hearing what's up with you. And this is our opportunity tonight to do that and to celebrate art at the same time. So here we are back with our Wedding Veil piece, right? Is that the name of this one?
This is Fred Green, Wedding Veil, inspired by a park in the Bronx, Van Cortlandt Park. And now this is our last Fred Green piece in this exhibit, and it's called Winter Fly Fishing. And Fred says, the fly fishing competition on the Missouri River to me seemed like a stark contrast to the fly fishing I'm used to doing. I try to stay away from the crowd, relying on a float boat guide or walking streams and rivers with a close friend. The surroundings, the peaceful focus on the river, and the cast are some of the aspects of the activity that draws me to fly fishing.
Excellent.
I want to go fly fishing with Fred. That sounds like fun.
I know, totally. Okay, then tell us about this piece.
This is a Paige Harper piece. We saw some of her ceramic bowls and different ceramic pieces earlier. This is another ceramic piece, and it's called Harmony of the Contraries, and it has a hanger on the back so it can hang on the wall. Now this is Krista Darrow's mom, Yukiko Darrow, and this one's called Homecoming. It's 20 by 16, oil on canvas. And the next one is called Nuts About You. Her next piece, this is also Yukiko Darrow, is called Snow Monkeys. We have a Craig Mullins piece next. It's called Point of Prey, and it is a 24-inch by 30-inch piece. Lovely bald eagle. And
again, here's another artist whose style is kind of instantly recognizable.
Sure.
He's done such a great job of developing.
He's an architect by trade and a painter who has very crisp lines.
Absolutely. Very cool.
The next couple of pieces are by our friend Kay Bay, and she does a lot of mixed media stuff, some collage and painting mixed together. This one is called Festival in Forest. Lots of colors. And this one is just, it's just painting. So normally we see mixed media from her, but to fit in with this nature versus nurture, this one is called Mount Rainier, and it is acrylic paint. And this goes back to Kay Bay's collage mixed media format. This one's called Trees, 18 by 24. And this last piece from Kay is called Under the Sea, and it's 8 by 10. We have a few pieces here from Michael McGuire, one of our artist members. This one's called Full Moon. It's 40 inches by 16 inches acrylic on canvas. And he says, this painting reminds us of a reflection on the lake while camping. Michael used beautiful fall colors to create this nighttime scene while the full moon illuminates everything in this masterpiece.
Really neat. What size is this one again?
It says 40 by 16 on my sheet here.
Okay, so it's nice and long and wide. Very cool.
Yeah. This is another Michael McGuire piece called Ominous Birches. And it says, Michael loves painting birch trees, and the green grass brings out such a vibrant contrast. It feels like a warm summer day walking in the woods. This last piece from Michael McGuire is called Worship. And it says, Michael grew up going to church every Sunday. Since his brain injury brought him to discover his hidden talent of painting, his faith has remained so important to him. We have some pieces from Stephanie Dennis now, who actually just at 1 o'clock this afternoon did a Facebook Live for us where she showed us how to make a clay bird. It's really cool. You can go back and watch that later. This first piece is called Cobalt Tile, and it is a cobalt tile.
It is.
With really cool imprints. This one is called Earthy Brown Vessel. The next one is called Floral Vase, or Vase if you're fancy. This one is called Green Cup, and I love those deep emerald colors. I would fight you over that one.
Yes, yeah, it's true. We like the same color palette.
This is another Stephanie Dennis piece called Rose Toned Vase.
Very nice. Yeah, you can get that just subtle hint of that rose in there.
Another Stephanie Dennis called Sculpted Face on Wood Board.
Interesting.
And this is called Two-Toned Mixing Bowl. That's really nice.
Yeah, that I know that glazing effect is not necessarily easy to achieve.
This is some work by, and I hope I get her last name right, it's Pam Coget, C-O-G-E-T, Garnet Tree of Life necklace. And it's a 2-inch Garnet Tree of Life necklace on a 24-inch chain.
Cool. We know that Pam really specializes in copper, and you can see that in these pieces.
Yeah, this is another piece by Pam called Grape Cluster Necklace using solid copper. And another Pam piece called Oak Leaf Earrings, and it's 1.5-inch solid copper oak leaves.
I definitely get the nature influence in these pieces.
Absolutely. Got a couple pieces from Carrie Lynn. This one's called Beach 3. Actually, they're each a beach series, so they're numbered. In this, she says, upon moving to Indiana from the West Coast, I fell in love with the Midwestern sky and landscape. I felt compelled to pick up a paintbrush and capture the sky's fleeting moments and Indiana's countryside on canvas. As a result, I fell in love with painting. I continue to paint, and almost always my paintings feature the Midwestern sky or the Pacific Ocean, two elements of nature that inspire me endlessly. This is a continuation of the beach theme, kind of with the same thoughts of the Pacific Ocean in mind. This one is called Beach 5. I want to be there.
Totally.
This is by Gant Haverstick. It's called Cat Scratch. And it's a digital print, matted and framed. And he says, this depiction of an act of nurturing could provoke the question, what effect does this have on natural disposition of the cat? I was walking with a friend in the Fountain Square area, and she reached over to pet a stray cat. I liked the contrast in texture of the wood fence background against the soft fur of the cat. A brief, tender moment.
So sweet.
I think cats are usually thinking, either feed me or I will murder you. But
you're not a cat person?
Well, I like tigers. I like big cats.
Gotcha.
This is another Gant Haverstick piece. It's called Hand by Rodin. It is 12 by 26 digital print on foam board. He says, a picture of a sculpture of hands by Rodin. I see this as representative of nature and nurture intertwined. The actual name of the sculpture is the Cathedral. When I saw it in a museum in Paris, I was struck by the way the light hit, which I thought only enhanced its already delicate beauty. Not only are these artists, but it seems like they're poets as well when we give them a chance to write.
And this is a great example too of how one person's artwork is inspiring somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're sharing all this tonight.
Now this is by Heather Abel O'Neill. It's called Sibling Rivalry, and I see it immediately. 16 by 20 inch photography. This photo is two young squirrels playing tag on a branch, or is one pushing the other off the branch? You decide. We all know our interactions with our siblings and our sibling rivalry plays an integral part in our development. Nature or nurture?
Love it. I see this scene outside my window every day right now. So
Yep. This is by Joanne Roeder. Is it Roeder? Is that right?
yeah.
Okay. This is called Bahama Getaway, 16-inch by 20-inch canvas using oil paint. Really nice warm blend there.
Yeah, this has a real, I don't know if anybody else has looked at a lot of sort of travel art from the late 1700s, but it's in this style. The color palette's the same and that sort of atmospheric quality is the same. Very cool.
Got a couple more from Joanne. This one's called Charcoal Rose, and it's 8 by 10 using charcoal.
Lovely. Nice.
This next one is called Sunny Day. It's another oil painting, which is really nice. And she says, the beauty of nature can be found everywhere. Nurture is invisible. Something to think about. This is by an artist named Kylan Brown. It's called Always Watching. It's oil and graphite. And Kylan says, wolf with a baby who's distracted by a flower shows 3 aspects of nature interacting. The wolf symbolizes a protective parent while the child joyfully explores the natural world. This is Margot Bogue. It's an oil painting, and it is called Cousins. And she says, little girls who look so much alike, yet so different. We've got a few more if Stuart's going to be patient with us. This is a Rodney Reveal piece called Moose, and it is 30 inches by 40 inches, and it's framed in a big, thick gold frame in the studio right next to where I'm sitting, and it is really, really nice. Whenever it's time to open our doors again, I encourage everyone to come see Rodney's studio and see this massive moose painting.
It's true. This angle doesn't really give you the sense of perspective that he's got in it. And it's much more effective in person. So what I propose, let's finish Rodney's pieces in here.
Sure.
And then I think you should walk into Rodney's studio and show us that stuff while I try to figure out how to switch it over to my phone. And we'll meet our final guest for the evening.
Okay, I can do that.
Let's get one
Sure.
Rodney pieces in here. Another
this is Rodney Reveal. It's called Out on a Limb. I know he just finished this one, and it's 24 by 36, and it's an oil painting.
Very cool.
This one's called Owl, and it is so realistic looking.
Yeah. Everybody knows I love drawing owls. So
this is Michael Janoski, who is another one of our studio artists, actually in the Judge Stone house, the brick building that Ailey is in right now. And this one is called Early Evening in Early June, 24-inch by 36-inch oil on canvas. Beautiful.
And we're going to go ahead and finish Mike's too, because I know Mike was watching earlier. Hopefully he's come back to check in with us. But he and Rodney, their studios are in separate buildings so they can stay distant from one another. They have been coming in and getting work done even during the quarantine. So it's neat to see them continuing to work.
Yeah, we've got a couple more pieces from Michael here, and then a few by Anita Holloway after that, just a heads up. This is a Mike Janoski piece called Some Time to Think. It's 8 inches by 10 inches oil on canvas. I love his colors. Mike Janoski, this is called Somehow Forgotten.
Oh, what a good title.
These next 3 are by Anita Holloway, one of our new artist members, and a very cool cat. This one's called Stained Glass Tulips, and it is 11 by 15. Next one is called Strange Fruit. Great song, great painting too.
Yes, a painting about a very different, or a song about a very different topic.
Sure. This one is called Talking Heads by Anita Holloway. And then I do know that we got one more that was added today, Ailey. If you want to go to the next one and I can find the name of it. Give me just a second, and then we can take a peek into Rodney's studio. And we can show the scale. This is by Lindsay Bridge, and it's called Phoenix.
So such beautiful colors. Do you have the size on that one?
Hold on just a second. Yes, it is 24 inches by 12 inches.
Excellent.
Looks like she used that really cool acrylic pour technique.
Yeah. And so that gets us back around to the beginning, huh?
Sure does.
Very cool. Well, great. I am going to let you take over then. Oh, sorry, everybody. I didn't know what button I was pushing. And I'm going to switch over. So Curtis, you take us into Rodney's studio there.
Great. So on a normal first Friday, Rodney would be here. I got to find he's got some crazy light switches in here. As I'm turning the lights on, he would probably bring his own gear, not that he has any problem with ours. And he'd be sitting here hanging out, giving people a hard time. And he's got this great art gallery sign. Oh my gosh, it's not even plugged in right now. Yep. Not plugged in. Man, what a bummer of a reveal here. No pun intended.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to do that. So I'm going to plug this in and we can get the full effect of Rodney versus Friday. So it says art gallery, and I guess it's backwards if you're on the other side of it. But yeah, here's this moose piece. So I'm standing next to it, and this might be life size, this moose piece. Rodney paints these really cool scenes from nature. Here's this one that we saw in the gallery as well, or in the exhibit, this cougar. And I do know, I've been watching him paint this. I'm going to turn his lamp on here. I've been watching him paint this on a board here. Really nice creek or river scene.
Excellent.
He does nature so well. Look at this. I don't know where this one came from. It's a new one. It's this bird on a cactus, and it's one of those that almost looks like he took a photograph and messed with it, but it's a painting.
That's really cool. Curtis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I am going to take back over then.
Go ahead.
And hopefully, yeah, the camera, it's listening to me on my computer, which I thought I had turned off. Let's see if it'll switch my view. Oh, I can see you. Good. Sorry, everybody. We're still learning this. But here in the gallery, we have, I am not ashamed to say, my absolute favorite artist of all time. So much my favorite that I am spending my quarantine with him. This is Stuart Sager. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're really glad you could come because yeah, really glad you could come because you've been very active during all this social distancing, right?
Yes, I have. Active with quarantine. The internet is brought everybody together. But for those who don't know me, my name is Stuart.
Hold on just a second. Can you mute yourself, Curtis? Yeah.
We're figuring this out as we go. My name is Stuart Sager. I draw comics books for a living. I'm local to Indiana, and I try to help out and participate as often as I can. It seems like a good opportunity. I'm not sure how many of you are comic book readers or followers. However, I'm probably best known for having worked on books like The Joker here. This is my cover art here. I also recently did about 23 covers for the comic book featuring the rock band Kiss. Lots of tongues I've drawn. And then G.I. Joe as well. I actually brought a smattering of some things I've worked on here recently, and I thought I would show them off. And one of the reasons I'm here is because I think a lot of people are familiar with superheroes, familiar with comic books, but not terribly familiar with the people who draw them. So this is a great opportunity for you to not only see what I have, but ask questions. If you're following, just type in a question you might have and announce it. I'm happy to explain how I do this stuff, what my techniques are, what I like, what I don't like, so on and so forth.
Curtis, I know Coda's managing our feed right now, and I can't see it on my phone. So Curtis is going to go to his computer and loop us in. So yeah, we definitely, first of all, we want to make sure that we do plug your website so people can find out about you at.
So the easiest way to do, this is, by the way, this is a G.I. Joe comic that I drew the cover for, but the back of it is a great place for me to go to. If you go to stuartsager.com, StuartSayger. It has a large sampling of all the things I've done, but it also shows some things that are coming up. The newest addition I have there is on the shop page, you can see the covers for Transformers. I've got Transformers #1, 2 covers coming out. They come out. We think, I could have told you April 22nd, but right now a few things are up in there in terms of who's delivering what, who's printing what, and we can't, I would hate to give a hard release date on something like that I just can't guarantee at the moment, but we'll have it soon. My guess is somewhere in the end of April.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's that was like a really unexpected outcome of this situation. I think lots of us were like, okay, we can move stuff to online, we can anticipate, like we can figure out how to work from home, but it took a little while to realize just how much sort of the supply chain it has been affected lately, right?
Yeah, well, so that's it. So, you know, if you go to your comic book store and you buy some comic books, that comic book comes from someplace. They're printed all over the world, many in the United States, many in Canada, and some even overseas. But before that can even happen, there has to be an editor involved, and then a writer and an artist and people like me. And I've even spoken with some comic shops who said, well, we might be able to have our books, but I don't even know if I'm going to have any boxes to ship them in.
Yeah.
Or, well, I have bags to put them in. And so there's a little bit of a, not just a supply chain issue, but being able to see the whole big picture. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come and bring this stuff here is you have a difficult time shopping for comic books at the moment. And with people staying inside, what better to do than catch up on all your reading?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the things you're going to show us today, we don't necessarily have on our website. So the way we're going to handle this is if you who are watching see something you like that you would like to add to your personal collection, please make a note in the chat section, say, I would like, and describe what you're seeing. We'll follow up with you after the fact. We'll share your information with Stuart and he'll get in touch with you and can send you an invoice and we can get it all mailed out. So this is your chance to shop for art right now.
And if you have anything you wish to give as a gift, I am happy to personalize. So anything you buy from me that's my art, I'm of course happy to sign as well. If you want to give something as a gift, I would be more than happy to write, you know, best wishes to Mark or something like that on there. I'm more than happy to do that. Yeah, but this is going to turn into possibly a little bit of shop from home. I'm used to talking to a lot of people who are somewhat familiar with me ahead of time, so this may be a little bit of an onslaught all at once. All the comics you see before you here are all exclusive variant covers, which means that these were limited print run comic books where I was hired to make the art. The print runs were rather small, which is why the prices on some of these are $15 or $20. But in many cases, like this G.I. Joe cover right here, there were only 750 of those made. It's an official release from IDW, the publisher of G.I. Joe, as well as the KISS comic books are. They are, in fact, a little bit more limited. This one here was an exclusive cover that was made for the Indianapolis KISS convention. Earlier this year, there were only 500 of those made.
Dwell on that for a second.
Yeah.
There's a what now?
Yeah, so Indianapolis, I don't think it can happen this year for reasons we probably well understand, but there is an annual KISS convention that revolves around the rock band KISS. And I know in previous years, they have had members of the band come. I went to it this last year, and Lita Ford was there, and Mark Slaughter was there, and I think may have had someone else from the Runaways, but I'm not sure. I'll be honest. I draw the KISS comic and I listen to KISS. I know a lot about this, but when you go to a KISS convention, you think you know a lot and you find out how much you don't know.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a great opportunity for people who are interested in that band and that type of that genre of music, that period, to get together and sort of share stories and play together. And I'm telling you, I did get to see Mark Slaughter and Lita Ford play, I think, Cherry Bomb together.
Whoa.
Really cool.
Yeah. And you were like 10 feet away from them or something.
Yeah,
I mean, you were like right on
my
time.
portfolio.
Yeah.
She didn't realize she did it. She turned around back up at the table and, you know, was waiting for a chance to play and kind of like took a little perch. And I thought, well,
that makes those prints more.
Well, it obstructed my view. I can tell you that. No, everybody there was really cool, really, really nice. And for it seems rather obvious, but it's worth saying. Everybody was there because they wanted to be there. They shared their love in this one thing.
Yeah.
You know, so there was this sort of familiarity with everybody, even though they hadn't met.
Right. And that's
You
kind of what we're doing tonight too, really.
Exactly, right.
So I know we have a lot of artists watching right now, and Curtis, do shout out if we get any comments or anything we need to respond to. But I know we have some artists working, and you mentioned that this was an exclusive cover. So can you tell us like what that means? How did that project work?
Okay, so I'll back up to the beginning. The best way to describe it is that the publisher of the KISS comic book is this comic book company called Dynamite. And I have been hired to work for them on a couple different titles before KISS. KISS is kind of a high profile thing. So I had worked on the G.I. Joe comic book related with them, and another comic based on a horror movie. And I think they sort of realized that there was something sort of dark and horrific about, Gene Simmons and the KISS. And they were looking for the right kind of artist to do it. I had done well on previous projects, so they asked me to work on KISS. Now, one of the things that's a little bit tricky about KISS is when you work on any project that has a parent company holding it, they can be particular as far as the image and representation of their characters. In the case of KISS, I'm drawing actual people. There isn't some big, Coca-Cola sized corporation with 12 people pouring over something. It can literally be Gene Simmons say, that's what I look like, or that's not what I look like. And so you have to keep very specific people happy. And in my case, I was asked to do a series. They loved everything I did. I had no corrections. So they kept me for a second time. For the second time, there were no problems. And at this point, I'm getting my name known as a KISS artist. I was doing a signing online, very similarly to this, for one of the KISS series when it came out. And the person running, who was viewing this, just happened to be the owner of the KISS convention. And he said, hey, I would love to have you come and be a guest at the show. What he didn't know was I live in Indiana. Mm. So I should have taken him up on it, but he offered to fly me in. And I just said, he had no idea how close I was. I should have told him, fly me to Boston or something. Yeah. I'm gonna have a free vacation. But so we got talking. So what's going to happen at the convention? How big is it? And he was talking about what I had sort of known about, but never experienced, and that was just how diehard invested the KISS fans are. And we, of course, had a situation where if I was going to come, I would bring comic books and sign them. And I said to the owner of the show, Steve, hey, Steve, I'm in pretty good with the publisher, and the band seems to like my work. I think if you want, we can arrange it to where you can have a custom KISS comic for your show and for your fans. And we were having lunch, and it was like the fork stopped. And he said, are you kidding me? And I said, no, and I know how to do it. And he said, what do I have to do? And I said, we have to talk about what it costs, how many copies you want, and I can draw it and take care of the rest. And it was really almost about the easiest sort of business deal to have go down. First of all, I'm the guy who's negotiating all of it, and I'm the guy who's making the art. There's not much to do. Providing the publisher is happy, KISS is happy, and the show promoter is happy, and I'm in the middle of all three of those. The chain was really small. So we worked out all the details. In this case, this was the cover we produced for it, in that Tommy Thayer is the guitarist for KISS right now, and he dresses up as the spaceman. He, in the 70s, spaceman was Ace Frehley, but Tommy has actually been the spaceman for KISS in all their concerts and their studio albums. I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's something like 20 years. Yeah. I think no one has, he's been in the band longer now than Ace Frehley has. So he came and he was the guest of honor. And so I said, well, we have to do a Tommy Thayer cover. And so one of the things that was fun about that was they had a great big line for Tommy to sign, and then I had a line to sign. And I had sort of designed this cover, I felt, so that it had a really good area for one of us to sign here and the other one to sign there. And I didn't get a chance to talk to Tommy the way I wanted to, but clearly he's done enough of this that he just figured it out immediately. So all these copies showed up on my table with his signature there, and then I matched them.
Wonderful.
It was really, really pretty great. The fans liked it. He liked it. Steve liked it. And I thought it was really cool that I had this opportunity to work on this comic. And even though the publisher had hired me to do their specific thing, one of the reasons this happened was I just kind of thought outside the box. I saw how the pieces could fit together. Here's a guy who's going to be putting on a KISS convention. He's going to have so many KISS fans there already. Here's the publisher that wants to sell as many books as they can. I'm more valuable to both of them. Yeah. By putting them together and making this book happen. So I remember I called the publisher up, and I said, so I'm in contact with this person who runs this KISS convention. And they said, oh, okay. And it didn't amount to a whole lot. And I said, let's do an exclusive cover. And just like talking to the gentleman who owned the convention, that fast. Yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
So it was pretty great. So we actually did, I did 2 more. These other 2 covers were ones that I made exclusive for my website.
See, this is why I wanted you to highlight this, because Stuart Sager is kind of king of the hustle. And so he figured out how to leverage one job into like 8 jobs by knowing how the industry pieces fit together.
Well, and I think that's the key thing. So I think I came out a winner here, but it's undeniable. The publisher had more product manufactured. The convention owner had a better convention, had something he could offer at the convention that most people couldn't get any other way. And I think it makes me more valuable to everybody.
Yeah.
And hopefully the fan too.
Yeah.
So
very cool. Well,
yeah,
so
fun.
Believe it or not, we are starting to run short on time. So I want to run through your pieces, and I want to make sure that I leave enough time for Curtis and I to kind of sign out. And there are a couple of things we haven't gotten to this evening. So I want to make sure, Curtis, I'll jump there in just a second.
Yeah.
Curtis, let's make sure we put a link to Tony Shalacy's piece, because our showcase artist of the month is Anthony Shalacy, and he's got a beautiful show online. So we'll get to that. But so what were you pointing to?
So
What do you got?
The big thing I want to present here, since I brought a lot of comic books, but I was thinking as an art gallery, we tend to think of the art as art that hangs on the wall. So I thought I'd bring a few things to offer here. I did a live sale last night and talked to a lot of fans via a comic book venue, and I had some of these prints that I offered there, and I thought I should offer them here tonight.
And do you know,
Yes.
Jerry Lang joined us this evening. And
Jerry says, I've already seen this show.
yeah, but he even gave us a donation, which was so sweet.
Jerry's been great to me. Jerry, thank you so much for tuning in. I have been, Jerry's bought several things for me this last month or so. We've chatted a bit on Facebook. Jerry and I have, all of our communications for the last couple months have been only electronically, but in that time we've talked about art supplies, techniques, what works, what doesn't. I was doing a drawing demo last night, and I was using some colored pencils, and sometimes colored pencils can be a little bit difficult to spread evenly. And he chimed in, he said, you know, you can heat them up. It'll make the vehicle a little bit softer, it'll go down a little cleaner.
Oh, he did do that,
And
yeah.
he was exactly right.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things that when I'm in the moment, I could have thought to do that. I could have thought to say it. It didn't pop into my mind. And just the fact that he offered that up, you know, was something that I think everybody who was watching would have learned and probably wouldn't have found out otherwise. So I think one of the things that we're finding out is kind of neat about this online format like this is that people have a capacity to still interact more than we ever expected. You know, in that case, that was my show and Jared was watching. So it would be expected maybe he would ask questions on how I would do something. But he was absolutely right to make a recommendation on what I could do that I hadn't thought of.
Right.
It was more invested and more interactive.
And I think it's really important that artists make an effort to do that in this sort of situation, and to be open to suggestions. Don't take anything personally there, because it's that's how we're going to stay connected.
I think so.
So these big pieces we see on the table right now, what size are they?
Let's see, 29 inches wide. If I can do
No.
the math right. They're 27 inches wide. I had to do the math right, and then 13 inches.
They're 27 inches
20
long
inches tall, right?
and 13 inches wide.
It's kind of an odd size, but it's on a heavy stock. And this is actually a size that I had, but I recently switched to a slightly different size. I don't have many of these left, so I'm offering these at kind of a special price. If you're in your house, you're re-engaging with your house, and you want some new art to show up and have something fun to do, this is it.
So what is your price on these?
So these are there are 2 deals. If you just want one of them, 1 or 2, they are $20 each, and there is a $5 shipping fee on top of that. Or, and this is what makes it easy for everybody, $50 gets you whichever your favorite 3 are, and that includes shipping.
Okay, so
And they will come signed. It's a heavier cardstock. They are rollable and they will come rolled. But
very cool.
And because they're vertical and they have some impact on the wall. I mean, I described how big they are, but here I'll stand up next to it.
Yeah.
You really get a sense of what you're looking at here.
Yeah, right. And that's a beautiful poison ivy piece, we know. And I just wanted you to state that because this isn't available on your website, right? This is available tonight. And so again, if you see something you like, message us. We'll get you in contact with Stuart and get you this deal. Excellent.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
So
what else can I answer questions about for you?
Just give us a couple more. Tell us, we've got maybe 2 or 3 minutes left, so tell us a little bit about.
Well, this is the colorful story here. So this is one of the jobs I'm better known for, and also it's most surprising to most people. So for 2 years, I drew the comic book Lego, but you don't want to look at me. You want to look at this thing.
Yeah. Well, I want to look at you. That's the problem. I shouldn't
was-
be the cameraman right now.
I was the artist for Lego Bionicle, and Bionicle was a toy line that Lego made. It ran for about 10 years, and they brought it back a couple times, and I'm sure it'll come back again. For the 2 years that I drew Lego Bionicle, I can tell you it was absolutely the largest circulated comic in the world, in that it was translated to, I think, 9 total major languages, and I used to be able to rattle them off.
I know Italian's one of them.
Spanish, Italian, French, German, Japanese, Chinese, Russian. I lost count.
Swahili, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting.
So, French, German, you get French, German, English, Spanish, you get that.
Yeah, Klingon. It was
Right,
clearly Klingon.
But this was a comic book that was distributed, at least in the United States, via the Lego Fan Club magazine, which had a gigantic circulation. I think it was well over 1 million, whereas the print run on monthly Batman was usually around 100,000. So it started to dawn on everybody that Lego had this path, was putting more comic books in children's hands easily than Marvel and DC combined, which is kind of an incredible thing.
Yeah.
So these days, that was the book that I did around 2005 and 6. It was sort of my big first break in the job, in the industry. But now, fast forward to 2020, I go to many comic book conventions, and I'll meet fans who are comic book fans, and maybe they'd seen my Joker cover or the G.I. Joe comics I've done. And I can always tell when they're Bionicle fans, because this thing happens. They're always about 25, and they're standing in front of my table, and their eyes get big, and like, wait, hold on, you drew this? And then they just light up. They become 5-year-olds every time, it's 10-year-olds. And they said, this was the first comic book I read. I remember they flip open the comic book. I traced this panel when I was, little. And they go from being just a nice casual fan to, I was the guy they wanted to be when they were 10. And I can always tell the moment the recognition happens. This is kind of neat because it was such a big project, and only about 3 artists who worked on it. So for this whole generation of fans,
you have it back. Okay, so in 90 seconds, I want to make a quick transition to the fact that you, Lego was not the thing that got you to giggle as a little kid. I happen to know that that thing was probably Batman, and you have done a project recently that brought that full circle for you, right?
Let's see, well, I did the Joker covers. Which Batman project?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, that was my easy, underhanded pitch to you.
This is it. So I just recently did 3 covers for the Joker. There was a movie that came out a while ago, you guys may have heard. And these were actually comic books that were made in conjunction with a comic shop in Dayton, Ohio. They also were exclusive variants. But this one here, I managed to put Batman on the cover as well. It's actually a Joker cover, but I hadn't done a Batman cover yet. And so I figured this was a good way to sort of sneak Batman on there, because I grew up a Batman fan first. But I have Batman drawings that I did from when I was, I've got one that I show many people, and they always ask, is this your first Batman drawing? Because I was about 7, and I tell them, not even close. As rudimentary and simple as that 7-year-old Batman drawing is, there are ones that are much earlier, and the really little kids, like, body is just one head with sort of arms and legs sticking out. They don't realize there's a body.
Yours had arms and legs and bat ears, right? Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Well,
but
excellent.
This is a nice feeling to know that I grew up with this, and now I get to be a part of it, which is kind of a great feeling.
That is.
Stuart Jerry Lynn says he is getting an XO Man War 1 signed cover next Thursday.
Well, then I have it actually, I should have shown that off here. What Jerry's talking about is this is my most recent comic that came out. This is when they came out about, is this a week ago or so?
Yeah.
XO Man of War. If you guys remember, there was a Bloodshot movie that came out a little while ago. I think XO is coming next in theaters. Valiant is a comic book company that's been around for about 20 years, and they've made lots of video games. This is not Iron Man. This is XO Man.
Yeah, get it right.
Thanks, Jerry. I will, in fact, wait to ship your order, and I will include this with it.
How nice. That's so great. Okay, so it is almost 9 o'clock. And I'm going to turn things around here because Curtis is going to stay a safe social distance away. See, I can't even touch him. But what else was on our list tonight? So we want to give a shout out to Anthony Shalacy, who has a gorgeous exhibit online right now.
So that is on our exhibits page, which is a new thing for us. We have the art that we shared on the screen of Nature versus Nurture. We have Anthony Shalacy's exhibit that would normally go next door in the greenhouse, the Stevenson house. And we have the Meyer Najum exhibit, and remind me whose stuff is at
I think Craig Mullins is there right now, and John Deerdorf will be coming shortly if it hasn't switched over.
That's the name of his stuff is on our exhibits page. So if you go to nickelplayarts.org/exhibits, you can see all 3 of those exhibits virtually. And all of those pieces are available for purchase. If you click on them, they'll take you to Nickel Plate Arts' Square page, and you can purchase that piece, and we can arrange for pickup with gloves and everything.
Right, yeah.
We also definitely want people to remember to show us the art that you're working on at home. I know that we have artists who are watching, and send it to us, tag it with Nickel Plate Arts, but that the art goes on. Hashtag the art goes on, because even though we're cooped up in our houses, the art goes on, and it's the thing that's going to help get us through this whole thing. Creativity and just that therapeutic getting out of kind of our normal lives into the thoughts and ideas onto the piece of paper or the canvas or the whatever. So show us what you're working on. And also show us your outdoor sidewalk chalk art. And that is a different hashtag, which is we want you to share art not germs. So use the hashtag art not germs and show us the really cool stuff that you're putting on your sidewalk and your driveway, and keep it positive and hopeful to brighten your neighbor's day.
Yep. So I'm going to see if I can be clever. Stuart, if you want to come around the table, I think I can get a shot with all 3 of us where we're not actually touching one another. Yeah. So we're gonna face like that. So there's Curtis over my shoulder, and here's Stuart. There we go. See, this is for our album cover, exactly. And my my front camera is a little greasy, I think. So it's got a nice Star Trek Moon Princess glow right now. But everyone, we're gonna keep doing this. I think we'll do a live event with Tony, where we go through Tony Shalacey's pieces at some point in the next week, and give us your ideas. What else do you want to do? What do you want to see? We're here to support you, and we miss you. So thank you.
In general, we're live on Facebook almost every day at 1 and 6 p.m. So tune in around that time, and we should do a little promotion prior to that to let you know who's coming on and generally what they're going to be doing. So 1 and 6 p.m. every day on Facebook.
And we're always looking for new talent for that. So reach out to us and we'll get you hooked in there. So thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Have a great evening. Happy first Friday. And Curtis is going to end the meeting.